And welcome everybody. Hey, we got the green light. So we're missing a couple more teams, but we figured we'd go ahead and get started. So this is the kickoff meeting, and I got to use this microphone because these aren't working. And Jeff's got a question already. Listen, Mr. Obnoxious, put that red thing down. We're going to do these later, okay? This is the kickoff meeting for the New York's Capital District I-Corps Sites program funded by NSF Innovation Corps. Oh, please, hold your applause. A few years ago, we got a grant from the National Science Foundation. Let me back up even further. National Science Foundation, NSF, has been funding science for a long, long time. A few years ago, they were like, you know what, we funded all this great science, but what good is science if it doesn't get to the people, if it doesn't get to a product? If nobody sees it, then it's just scientific curiosity, which is great, it's fun, it's very academic. Wouldn't it be better if the scientific discoveries that were funded by the National Science Foundation actually made their way into something that's useful that we can all use? So they decided, hey, instead of just NSF giving money for science, let's do more. Let's give money to further the science and commercialize it. So they scientifically, because they're scientists, put together this program. Now, I'm gonna give you this program. I'm here to be your guide through this program. But I'm not gonna stick exactly to the program. I gotta go a little off topic a few times. But you know, it's what I do. So anyway, we're gonna go through their curriculum. And it was developed over a number of years as a way to take stuff out of the lab and get it into something commercializable, something that people will buy. Sound cool? And you guys are the elitist team, the most elite. I don't even know what I'm saying. You're up there on the elite scale of eliteness right up here, ladies and gentlemen. We got 17 people in this cohort. We had to turn away 10 teams. 10 teams. So you guys are the elitist of the elite. We expect great things from you. Every one of you guys is going to have a product by the end of this. That's probably not true. It would be wonderful if you did. Anyway, I am Clint Ballinger. I will be your host. It's more of a tour guide through this process. Matt Cusack, he's another entrepreneurial professor. He's going to be coming a little bit later. Me, I am the executive entrepreneur in residence here at RPI. I've started a few companies myself. Some been successful, some not so successful. I'm the CEO and founder of a company right now also. We're out raising money. We just got a phase 2 SBIR grant from the National Science Foundation. Oh, really? Thank you. $750,000 worth of NSF money, ladies and gentlemen, to a company. That's what this is all about. So this is a program that'll get you to a point where you could write a better commercialization plan, where then you could apply for a small business innovative research grant from the federal government, and they'll pay you money for your company to take that idea out. Okay? So this is sort of a seed program for that. Make sense?
Yes.
All right. Like I said, Matt will be here in a little bit. Tonight we're going to talk about the I-Corps program, customer development, customer discovery. You guys are going to get 2-minute talks. We got a timer right here. We have so many teams, we got to stick to 2 minutes. Because you multiply 2 by 17 teams, that's an hour and 45 minutes. So, all right, my math's a little rusty, but it's still a long time, okay? So we can't do that. We can't spend a lot of time. So 2 minutes per talk. We're going to talk about the business model canvas. This is a way to sort of capture all the important aspects of your company, to make sure that everything is in place and everything is working and everything makes sense. If that's aligned, you got a pretty good chance of having a viable company. We're going to talk about market sizing, do a little workshop, eat some food. I mean, of course, at this program, you guys are sacrificing your Friday nights. I look out here, I see people that you could be cruising around, you could be walking the mall, you'd be going to movies with chicks and dudes and having fun, romantic dinners. But you know what? You're here. Listen to Clint Ballinger drone on. So of course we have to feed you. And we're going to give you $3,000. How about that, ladies and gentlemen? So, it's the only way to get you here. So yes, we're going to feed you throughout this program, and yes, you have the ability to get $3,000. We'll talk about that at the end. And it's not winning $3,000. It's actually you get reimbursed for $3,000 to use it for customer discovery. So we're going to talk about all this stuff tonight. Then we meet tomorrow at Ignite U. Anybody hear of the Ignite U program? Summertime program, downtown Troy. We are going to use their space. They have been gracious hosts for us. We're going to go down there. I'd like to get you guys introduced to the local ecosystem. Ignite U is part of that ecosystem. They're right down the hill in Troy. That's where we're going to have day 2 of this. Day 2 is tomorrow, 8 a.m. to noon. We will feed you. And again, you will have access to that $3,000 to hear me drone on a little bit longer, okay? Got to do some presentations. I'll give you a homework assignment tonight. Value proposition development workshop, do some online stuff. Then we're going to do a live action field trip over to the Troy Farmers Market. And you're probably saying, Clint, why the hell are we going to go to the Troy Farmers Market? Because we want you guys to talk to strangers. Sounds weird. Your mom has always said, don't ever talk to strangers. The National Science Foundation is paying you money and giving you food to talk to strangers. Thanks, Donald Trump. Wait, is this being recorded? All right. Anyway, I digress. Day 1 to kick off, day 2 is tomorrow. Then we're going to have a series of phone calls. So we're trying to make this as light a lift as possible. Doing a couple check-in phone calls on a Wednesday. We'll schedule it with you guys via email. Just a little Uber conference call. We have our next, after tomorrow morning, we have our next cohort meeting on March 2nd, and that's going to be down at Ignite U as well. Another phone call, another face-to-face on March 9th, another phone call, and then final presentations. So final presentation is March 22nd. We try to, this is the sort of the culmination of the program. You guys will be so attuned with your customers, your value proposition, and your whole business model canvas and things like that. You're going to give a killer presentation. We are going to have outside guests attending this presentation, so you'll actually see other walks of life, people like that that'll be there. Who knows, you might make a new friend, you might find somebody that wants to give you money, you might find a teammate, you might find something else, somebody with space, whatever, somebody to help you out with commercializing it further or something like that, okay? All right. So far we've had greater than 40 teams go through this, from RPI, Sienna, Skidmore. We've had independent people from around the region, things like that. We have Albany Med in the house today. We have SUNY Poly in the house. So we try to get as many different walks of life as possible. So this is truly a regional program, which is sort of rare. NSF usually funds targeted programs only at one university. We got lucky and said, hey man, we got such a sort of a diverse ecosystem up here, let's do a regional one. So you guys are part of that. Okay, let's hear from the teams. 2-minute pitches each. I was told you guys are going first. Keep it at 2 minutes. And here's the other thing, guys. For you in the audience, this is going to help everybody improve. When you understand what they're saying, just hold this up. Start with it over here. Okay? Start with it here, and then when you understand, you get what they're saying, flip it over this way. It'll help them kind of gauge, and you guys, everybody that's presenting, use this, and say, well, crap, man. It took me a long time to get it through to them, what I was actually trying to explain. So it's just a good thing to get into, a good habit. This is the first time we've used this. I love it. Kelly? Thumbs up. Yes, it's on 2 minutes. Okay, we got to use the mic because these mics don't work. So if you don't mind, use the mic.
Are the slides over there?
Do we have slides?
Everybody on Dropbox.
You're on Dropbox? All right. Somebody want to get up and do a song and dance? Oh, it's on. All right. Kelly, it's in the NSF thing?
Yeah, the folders.
Is it on Drive or Google Drive? Or
Google Docs.
Yes, that's the Google.
Oh, it's on Google Drive?
Yes.
Yeah, sorry.
All right. Here, talk in the mic.
Can I start earlier?
I think you could. It's going to be tough.
The folder name.
Full spring. Teams. Must be that. Nope. Pitch checks. Hang on.
No, the spring folder.
Spring this.
118.
So that's it, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'll let you guys click.
Okay.
There you go. I'm bringing this.
Okay, so hi everyone. My name is Xiangyu and this is my team. So we're 7 people team, and so I'm gonna just start it because yeah. So cancer is second leading cause of death, and according to WHO, it was the cause of 8.8 million deaths in 2015. A biopsy is a very standard and very common and standard procedure for cancer diagnosis. But for cancer diagnosis and treatment monitoring. But one of the obstacles of current therapies is cancer heterogeneity, which means tumors are unique to patients, and also even if one tumor from one patient is because of the complexity composition of the tumor tissue, there are like very huge variation between each individual cells. So it is very important to be able to distinguish this different or the variation in a population of cancer cells for more advanced treatments. So here's our solution. It's called, we name it live draw biopsy. So this is a lab, as you can see, it's just slightly larger than a penny. And so we're able to capture thousands or hundreds to thousands single cells and embed them in a 3D scaffold and culture them over time, and you can basically we're able to monitor each individual cells.
Okay,
Is that,
2
that's
minutes.
it? Okay.
Yep. How many green do we have facing forward? Couple. Got some work to do.
I blame myself.
All right, this is brutal, right, guys? 2 minutes. You have a
2
lot to
minutes.
get across in 2 minutes. So keep
A
your
lot
eyes
to
on
get
the
across.
audience. Look at that clock on the floor. Keep moving. You're going to improve.
Okay, who's up next?
Guess I'll go.
Okay, man. I'll let you do the clicking.
Okay. Right over my name, so. Okay, so.
Bottom right is slideshow.
Oh, okay. Okay, great. Is there a clicker?
No,
No? Okay.
there's a microphone.
Oh, okay. So everybody, my name is Carl Appel, and I'm here to talk about our cryptocurrency marketplace idea that we have. So these are just people involved. Okay.
Yeah.
No, sorry about that. So, marketplace problems with cryptocurrency. How many of you know how to buy cryptocurrency right here? Okay, we got a show of hands. How difficult is it for you guys? Anybody here?
There's an app for it.
There's an app for it. Okay. Okay. So, what we've been finding out is a lot of people are having difficulty buying. So, there's different exchanges, and you may not know where the best price is to buy. So what we're trying to do is utilize all the data in order to help you find the best price for your cryptocurrency throughout all the exchanges. So essentially, we're going to be a cryptocurrency digital asset manager. It allows you to use the power of data analytics to search through all these cryptocurrency markets and help you decide and find the best prices for your cryptocurrency. So again, one of the key things we're trying to focus on is just aggregating all the trading data. There's so much data out there, it's really impossible for people to keep track of it. And we want to be able to do that by keeping track of historical data and being able to utilize it in a very productive way. There's also difficulty trying to figure out where the prices of bids and buys can benefit you. So how can you take advantage of arbitrage between different exchanges? And we want it to be very mobile friendly and interactive. And so that's another thing we're trying to solve. Finally, at our current stage, we have a very basic MVP product that just takes historical data and records it, and we're working toward the alpha.
Ah, look at that. How many greens?
How many green we got?
Okay, that's good. That's good.
Room for improvement, good job.
Not bad, not bad.
Next up, somebody volunteer. All right, we got one.
Ah, how to get out of this mode? Why is it doing this? That's right. Yeah. Dude, what mode is this in? I can't get
I don't know.
Dutch. Just close it. I can't. I think I'll close.
Can you just close PowerPoint? PowerPoint.
Good. Wow. Okay. All right, get you. There you go. Which one?
All right. Good evening, everyone. I'm Alex Adam, and I'm here to tell you about our solution to treat rosacea. I'm a research scientist with over 20 years of experience in molecular and cellular biology. My partner, Ted, is an ophthalmic surgeon with a strong background in clinical research. He came to my lab about 5 years ago because of frustration of the limited tools he had to treat some of his patients. We did some research, and together we're developing a better solution for a skin disease called rosacea. So why rosacea? It is a very common skin disease for which there is no cure. Over 16 million people suffer from rosacea, and that's just counting here in the US. It has a wide range of manifestations from burning sensation to scarring, and that can lead to anxiety, depression. So rosacea is a big problem for our patients. And there are many options in the market to treat rosacea, and even though some can be very expensive, they don't really treat many of our patients. And they're not effective because they only mask the problem. They don't treat the actual cause of the disease. Together, counting prescription medicine and over-the-counter treatments, this is a multi-billion-dollar market that is growing every year. So what we propose is a new scientific approach to the problem. We spent 5 years researching, learning from the disease itself, to develop a better treatment, a better cream for these patients. So this is how a normal skin looks in the microscope. This is a biopsy from one of our volunteers, and this is a biopsy from one of our rosacea patients. And that brown stain is how we detect in the lab the changes that are inherent on the diseased skin. So because we understand these changes, we can take a drug that blocks this protein and reverts the skin back into a normal state. So we call our cream MapRenew. We partner with the Albany Med Bag for our partner in commercialization, and with pharmaceutical labs to develop our prototype cream.
All green. Any reds?
All right. Thank you.
You cured rosacea. See, there's no red. Thanks, guys. You guys are all right. This is going to be a good cohort. I'm here all week. I'm here for 5 weeks, man. Yeah. Where'd it go? Sorry. Sorry. Oh, I got that so far. Okay.
What do I maximize?
Oh, like bottom right. Let's go down here. Yeah, let's go back here. Let's try that. There we go. And then just hit the, hit arrow down or something.
Hi, I'm Shyam, my co-founder Shematika. We are here to talk about Quiggle. Really what we think is a very simple issue, which is when two people are standing next to each other, why can't they use their cell phones to exchange information or anything that they want to exchange, like documents or contact information, right? For instance, many of you here, I don't know you. You're not yet in my contact list. So if I want to give you something like a document or just my contact information, it's very, very difficult, right? So what we've invented is a mobile exchange platform called Quiggle, which basically uses a QR code and a scanner to instantly pair two devices and enable the flow of information. So I scan you. With one scan, we both get connected. There's sort of a pipeline between the two devices and information flows, right? So for instance, right now, if I want to exchange contact information with you, all I do is scan you. With one scan, both of us get our electronic digital cards. So what we're essentially creating is a platform that enables two people to exchange anything through the scan of a QR code. We want to take this further. We've received good response for this. We want to see how to develop this platform further from contact exchange to change the world. For instance, if I put up my QR code here, we want to make it possible where all of you sitting in the audience scans the QR code, you get my presentation. So those are the kinds of possibilities we're looking at here. So that's the essential idea. Quiggle, a digital mobile exchange platform to exchange information between people quickly, instantly, so on and so forth. Hey, I have some more time. Any questions? Thank you.
Any reds?
Thank you.
No reds, man.
That's great.
All right, Quiggle,
Thank
look
you.
at that.
Time to spare. Well done.
Thanks.
That's extra green because you get time to spare.
Okay, everybody please download it right now. Please buy extra time to do.
Thanks for the time.
Yeah.
Give us the time.
And I think you just play it. You should be able to play it. Shit. There it is. There it is.
Yeah.
I hate this. And then do this.
There. Hello everyone, I'm Colin Danhe and I'm representing Storage. So the solar market within the United States has grown exponentially in the past 5 to 10 years. However, there's a lot of energy that's wasted and not used efficiently and to the consumer's benefit. So the problem is customers make the decision to either purchase or loan solar panels and other solar equipment on their facility. It is currently still financially burdensome for many families and businesses to make this decision. And the utilities, unfortunately, get most of the benefits. So as a home or business makes a power purchase agreement for SolarCity or whoever solar installer to come install the panels and loan, and the customer reaps the savings for not having to pay for energy, the excess doesn't really benefit them, and it only goes back to the utility. There are battery storage systems that can help offset energy use and time. So what we're trying to do is create a peer-to-peer energy trading system that allows individuals and businesses who have already installed solar equipment and storage possibly on their facility to be able to trade and sell to their neighbors and other individuals. The value in energy resources and the new paradigm of energy as a service is starting to really affect the industry in terms of economical impact. So what we would essentially do is take a percentage of the energy transaction like Uber does with its riders and drivers. And what we'd be looking to first do is set up a pilot program in Saratoga.
Any red?
One red, all right.
Couple reds.
I got some good
All right. With solar, there's a full spectrum of color. I'm here all week. I'm just kidding. I got a million of them, Chet. Okay. Oh, you do, yeah. Let's get that up easier. There we go. That makes it easier, doesn't it? There we go.
Hi, good evening. My name is Sudhar Musuku. I work at Albany Medical Center. I'm an anesthesiologist by occupation. I see some familiar faces here. How many of you guys know blood clots forming in the veins and then blocking the hearts? So most of them know. This is my team, Dr. Elliot Green, he's the co-inventor, and Jack Chan, one of the medical students who's helping me out. I'm going to explain a series of slides as to how this process works. We are in the process of the company formation with the help of BACC. What we are trying to develop is a device called M-Block, which prevents the intraoperative tumor embolism and any other embolus traveling from a vein into the heart. Now, when an embolus blocks the heart, the blood flow stops and patients can die. And we face this situation in the operating room around 10 to 20% of the patients, especially in kidney cancer patients where you see the kidney tumor on this area. When it migrates from the kidney into the vein, it's different depending on the type of the grade 1 to 4. And when this tumor goes and blocks the heart during the surgical manipulation, the patient may die. And we face these situations in the operating room. The second application is for the clots in the legs, which there's no tumor, but the clots can form in the legs wholly because of the blood elements, and then it can block the heart. So the current management for preventing this tumor embolism in the operating room is very invasive. Patient's chest has to be opened, and the patient has to be placed on bypass machine to retrieve the clots. This is a very big procedure, and patients may have to spend in the hospital for at least 2 to 3 weeks, and they may die during the process as well. So what we are trying to develop is a device which can be used like a central line which goes through the neck. And there is a clinical need for this device as per all the surgeons, and including me, who is a customer for this type of device. As I said, there is a clinical need. It's just like a central line which goes through the neck, as you see.
All right, that's it.
These are the potential customers.
All right. Pretty cool. I actually had a blood clot in my leg before. I'll show you the scar. I'm not even joking, that's real. Okay, which one are you guys? That's usually what's best. This, and then it's all yours.
All right, Cybus. My name is Amin Kaur. I'm one of the CEO and co-founders of Cybus.
And my name is Simran. I'm the CMO and the partner of Cybus.
We're introducing a new smart breast pump. And the problem with current products are very hard to clean, very difficult to use, and you still don't get the maximum amount of milk for your child.
Our solution is that it's an innovative built-in bra where the main mechanical product is built inside the bra, and you have various designs of different kinds of bras. We also have an app called Mom's Nanny where it tells you when to feed your baby and how much to feed your baby.
So our target market and opportunity, right? So our target markets are obviously the mothers, new mothers or existing mothers. And we'll be selling to them directly or through hospitals and different agencies. And our global demand is obviously reaching in billions in the next few years, as we have a lot of population coming from the Asia side and the Europe side into the workforce. So mothers do need the ability to pump while they're working because more mothers are working now.
All right.
Short and sweet.
Any reds? Couple reds? All right, couple reds. Almost. Almost. Good time. Okay. It's all you.
Thank you. All right, so our company is Ribodynamics. It is for dairy farmers that are losing money just from contaminated milk from infected cows. So this product is a diagnostic service that really detects different diseases and infections. Our team is Rick, entrepreneur in residence at UAlbany, Dan, who is in Department of Chemistry and also the founder of this technology, and me, I'm an MBA student at UAlbany. So what's the problem? Mastitis. 30% of these cows are killed annually due to infection. 1 billion is lost in milk production, and 2.7 billion is lost killing infected cows. So just 1% less of these happenings would save 90 million per year. Our solution, Ribodynamics, patent-pending technology that enables the extracting and imaging of RNA in cells using non-invasive methods. Some key points: it's low cost, fast, and reliable. Customer segments that we see are primarily dairy. So other methods in dairy aren't really fast enough. So our method happens within an hour. So you can do it before you milk the cow or before the contaminated milk is mixed with the uncontaminated milk. So that saves millions of gallons of contaminated milk per year. And then also we want healthcare after that, move into healthcare, government, municipalities, and quality assurance as we build our database to be able to detect more diseases other than just mastitis. And that's it.
All right. Little reds, little red, little red. All right, not bad, not bad. Action? Yep. Did you? Just do it like that. Thank you.
All right, cool. Hi everybody, my name is Lucian Brule, and I am team inventory tracker. I'm also working with Hussein Abuzayed, who's my academic mentor, and Josh Tremble. I have not met him yet in person. He's also working with me. Cool, so I currently work on co-op in San Francisco. I'm a malware research intern. I'm really interested in security, robots, and software development, and I lose things all the time, which motivates this product. So our target customer is anybody with consumable inventory. So think like if you're a factory, or if you're a hackerspace, or even like a pharmaceutical company. You have all these things that are placed in random places, and you don't necessarily know where they are, or you pay someone to track them for you. So yeah, no idea how to account for them. As far as product name goes, I'm thinking like Seizu, because like I'm kind of French, and like if you say like the mispronunciation of Je sais où or I know where could be a good name. Not really sure yet. So our market category is a physical inventory tracking system, and the actual description of the product essentially is a physical sensor that you place somewhere that talks back up to a database and an agent that crawls your database in real time and tells you where your things are as they move from different segments of your like factory or anything like that, or how much weight they currently have on them if they're like bolts. So yeah, automatically tracks inventories. Competition, think tile bin tracking systems like Amazon warehouses, or you can pay an employee to track your inventory for you, or use QuickBooks. But the problem is none of these things are automatic. You actually have to like be in the system tracking them. They also are like physically rigid, so you actually have to like put them up in a factory somewhere or hire someone to a specific process. They don't conform to your existing processes, which is a problem for smaller companies or people that are just starting out. So that is it. That's our whole presentation. I finished 12 seconds under. Cool.
All right. What do you say, any reds? Red, 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 red. 3 or 4 or 5 reds. Okay. Still good. Okay. All right. Go. Should be good. Just push down, arrow down. Okay.
Hi everyone, my name is Erica Burnell, and tentatively we are HALA Simple Technology. We're from the HALMEC Research Lab over at UAlbany. Our team consists of myself, Mindy Hare, and Aiden and Cheyenne, who couldn't be here today. Jeff in the back is our mentor for this program. What we do is color changing solutions that are done scientifically. Our process takes less than 30 minutes to develop the color. We also have a way of moving that directly on site for our market, which includes law enforcement. It also includes insurance companies, regular people, lawyers, judges. Our results can either be looked at just with your eyes or with an app on your cell phone. Some of the problems that this audience has is that in forensics, sometimes evidence is wasted if certain body fluids are only looked at just for their DNA. If there's no DNA, they just don't use the sample. Also in forensics, methods are usually invasive, so they need blood draws, they need you to spit into a tube or breathe into a tube. They also have instrumentation that requires a significant amount of time either in the lab or on the field, or a lot of data that they don't know how to interpret. Our methods can be used directly on site and you don't need scientific training. That also transitions into the public, so regular people don't need scientific training for our methods. They're small and portable, so you can hide them in your purse, hide them in your pocket, and no calibration is needed on the public end. That's it.
All right. What do you say? Some reds. All right, okay. You get done over here. This, now this. So yeah, just hit like that arrow down.
Evening, everyone. I am representing SXRNA Technologies, LLC. The problem we're trying to address, as we've already heard, cancer is a terrible disease. It afflicts quite a few people every year, particularly cancer patients, cancer survivors, those who are in remission are living under a constant threat of recurrence. Monitoring technologies that are out there typically consist of imaging type modalities that really are quite complicated and very expensive. And due to the expense, the ability to monitor on a frequent basis is actually quite limited. Our technology can actually be applied as a solution to allow for point of care, potentially at home or at doctor's office testing. Basically a urine type test. You're all probably familiar with pregnancy tests, like known as lateral flow tests. Basically a fairly simple readout. Very inexpensive. The idea is that you don't have to deal with laboratories or radiologists doing interpretations. And the market that we're looking to actually get into is the point of care diagnostics entities that are out there currently. So those that make potentially glucose monitors, those that make the pregnancy tests. We're not really looking to sell as a manufacturing entity ourselves. It's going to be more of a licensing partnership. And my name is Frank Doyle. My partner is Scott Tenenbaum. And that is our presentation.
Good. Couple reds. More green than red. All right. Got a lot of good teams. All right. Ready? Let's see here. All right, which one is this? There. There we go. Let me see if we do it correctly.
Yeah, you can.
Watch this. Presentation. exciting stuff already.
All right, so my name is Michaela Bailey. I'm presenting on SRJ collar, which stands for Soft Robotics Jamming Collar. I'm an aerospace engineer. I worked in the medical field, biomedical field last semester at an internship at Sinai Biodesign in New York City. Problem here is when people are in like a motorcycle accident, you come to them on the scene, you're not sure if they have a spine injury or not in their cervical spine, which is the neck. So they may have an unstable cervical spine injury. And with motorcycle accidents specifically, in order to apply a cervical collar and give some support, you need to take the helmet off first. So problems with the current cervical collar, the patient can't open their mouth. Sometimes it's too tight and it causes intracranial pressure by cutting off blood flow, and that brings its own set of symptoms. And also vertebrae separation can happen. And you can imagine if you have an injury in your spine, you really don't want that to move. So it used to be that the EMTs would just set a cervical collar on anybody, and the overuse led to them moving towards soft collars or no collar at all. So their solution, in essence, became the problem. My solution is really just changing the process. So right now you gotta take it out of the package, roll it up, size the person's neck with your fingers, and we're trying to make it easier, safer, and more effective. We're using new technology and materials, soft robotics, which you can see in the top. It's basically just using actuators and putting fluid like water or air into soft materials like plastic, basically inflatables, think balloons. And then granular jamming, which is the bottom. You put a substance like coffee grounds in a balloon, take all the air out, and it creates a rigid structure. So the applicability for this would be with falls, sports, and automobile accidents, along with motorcycle accidents. Potential customer, hospitals, EMTs, those that train EMTs, and fire and police departments.
Good stuff. Any reds? One red. Oh, look at that. That's like
Almost.
What is red and green? I think it's brown. Red and green. All right. Do we have anybody else? Okay. All right. This one, right? Oh, yeah. There we go. There we go. Let's see if I can do it. Open Google Slide. It's thinking. Okay. Just like press that arrow down. Go.
Thank you.
Yep.
Good evening. My name is Tom Anderson. And at Preventide, we're all about preventing disease by using peptides or small fragments of naturally occurring proteins. We're going to start out talking about preventing breast cancer because today and every day, 105 women will die from breast cancer. And the thing is, we can prevent it. We can prevent breast cancer. It's been known for a long time that women who give birth are at much lower risk of breast cancer than are women who never gave birth. And that's because of this protein. It's called alpha-fetoprotein, made by the fetal liver. It brings the message to cells that they should not respond to estrogen. So estrogen-dependent cancers die. But the thing is, proteins make lousy drugs. And so what we did is found the active site of this protein, and we made it into this molecule, which is called AFPEP, because it's a peptide from AFP. We tweaked this, we polished it, we patented 16 ways from Sunday. And what I can tell you is that AFP is effective for the treatment of breast cancer. It will stop the growth of human tumors growing in a mouse model, dead in its tracks. It's effective for the prevention of breast cancer in a rat model. Rats that develop cancer treated with AFPEP will develop much fewer cancers and it'll take them much longer to develop. But the real game changer aspect here is that AFPEP is safe. You measure the therapeutic index is if I need this much drug to get an effect, how much higher can I go before I get a toxicity? 1,000 times at AFPEP, and we still can't find activity because it's a part of a naturally occurring protein. So at AFPEP, our science is in order, our science team is in order, our regulatory affairs team is in order. We're just this far away from bringing AFPEP to clinical utility. Any questions?
Reds. stuff.
Is everybody gone?
Yeah, did we get everybody? All right. Guys, I don't know about you, but I think it's pretty freaking impressive. I'm excited. I'm excited. Let me find my stuff. Wouldn't that be nice? Here we go. It's going to be really interesting. So the good thing about a cohort, if getting everybody together and going through this process instead of you guys going through this alone, you're going to learn so much from everybody else. So there's some commonality here. Then there's some pretty big differences too of what people are going to go through. So you guys are all going to experience different things as you go through this, but we'll be able to come back together from time to time and share the experience of what you learned and all this kind of stuff. So it's a whole journey. Everybody's going on the same journey to get to the same end point, but you're going to be walking down different paths. You guys like with FDA approval and stuff like that, wow, that's a costly, expensive, time-consuming journey, but hugely rewarding, right? Apps, you have your own different thing. It's such a chicken and egg thing. You need the customers before you need the users before you get the customers and paying and all that kind of stuff. So everybody's got a different path they're going to go on, but we're all going to try to get to the same place. So anyway, let me do this. Here, how's that?
Yeah, works for me.
All right, I always like to, oh wait, there, that's better. I always like to start with a little inspiration. So, only those who dare to fail greatly can ever achieve greatness. Can ever achieve greatly. Gotta aim high. That's what you guys are doing. I have not failed, I just found 10,000 ways that don't work. So failure is not terminal. Thomas Edison said that. You guys are going to fail 100 times, but you're going to succeed 101. So you're going to keep going back at it. So this process is all about failing and recovering from failure very quickly. And even Eminem, I like to quote Eminem on Friday nights. Success is my only mother option. So failure is not an option. Little inspiration. Do you guys realize that the calcium in your bones, the iron in your blood, the carbon in your skin, oxygen that you breathe, everything, every atom makes up every molecule is from stars. It's from stars. It's from the Big Bang, way back when. Formed all these things. It formed all these things, made lots of different stuff. It made rocks, it made water, it made air, it made bugs, it made zebras. It was formed into other alien beings. Some of these things came together miraculously and formed you. All these atoms came together and formed you, but you are a metastable collection of these atoms built to last about 100 years. If some of these things succeed in this room, maybe you live to be 110. So a little longer. But you're going to turn back to stardust at some point. Hate to say it. But what are you and your atoms going to do in this magical time? You got 100 years. Actually, we're all a little older, so you got less than 100 years. The way I've been living, I got about 10 years. 10 years. So, but what am I going to do in this magical time? Well, my goal is to help you redefine how you look at failure, ladies and gentlemen. As an American, it's my duty. You're here in the land of the free. You're here with National Science Foundation money. The government is going to give you money to go through a process to take your dream and to see if you can make it into a viable company, to do something bigger than you, do something that lasts longer than you, do something that has a social impact, something that impacts society in a positive way before your metastable collection of atoms turn into dust. Okay? So that's me right here, proud American. This is a crappy picture of Matt Cusack. I couldn't find a better one. Got it from the post office. Don't tell him that. Okay, so my goal is, again, I'm not a teacher. I'm a guide through this process. I have made almost every single mistake anybody can ever make as an entrepreneur. Chet, you've seen me make hundreds of mistakes. Am I right? So I keep making mistakes, but I want to tell you all my mistakes, as many as I can remember. So you guys don't have to make the same mistakes. You're going to make other mistakes, so you're going to fail. So this whole process is about learning from other people's mistakes, Making sure that you have a process to go through to vet your idea to make sure you're not spending a lot of time and money wasted on something that's not going to bear fruit. Okay? So the NSF I-Core approach is to help you determine where business and technology intersect. We want to coach you guys so that you can quickly abandon your idea. There's a thing called pivot. It used to be called failure. Oh, I failed. That idea failed. That idea didn't fail. I just made a pivot. I want you guys to pivot like basketball players. I pivot like a ballerina, man. My soles are worn out of my shoes. I pivot so much. Pivoting is good. Don't worry about pivoting. You will get rewarded in this class, this program, if you pivot. If you stick to it and you're hearing bad customer feedback or something like that that's not validating your direction, you need to pivot. You need to change your direction. You need to listen to your customers and change. There is no shame in that. In fact, like I said, this is something that's actually rewarded. This whole process is called the Lean Startup Methodology. You can get books on Lean, the Lean Method. It was developed at Stanford with National Science Foundation. And it's to see if you can create a sustainable, scalable business model before you really run out of cash. That's the whole idea behind Lean. Try to do it with not very much money. So what is a startup? When I started my first company in 2000, so 18 years ago. So 18 years ago, a startup was really just seen as a small company, a small version of a big company. You had an org chart, you had a top manager, you had other managers under him, all chiefs, other managers reporting to them, worker bees reporting to managers, reporting to chiefs, hierarchy, top down, and a startup was just a small version of that. That is so wrong, it's crazy. And it's been pointed out that that's wrong over the last few years, so you guys are in a good spot. A startup is a temporary organization. It's not a small company. It's not a small version of a large company. Large companies are operational. At a startup, you're exploratory. You're trying to search to see if there's actually a business here, and it's temporary. You're not always a startup. Although I had a startup for 15 years. It seemed like it was always. But I could have done a better job of searching. If I had known what I know now, I would have done a better job, and it would have graduated from startup phase. Temporary organization, searching, looking for a repeatable, scalable business model, looking for repeat customers, looking for a product that's gonna sell, and a way to sell, a way to market it, and all this kind of stuff. So that's what you're trying to get to. You're trying to get to an operational company. But when you first start up, you're not. So at a bigger company, one that's established, they're executing. Managers execute according to a plan. As soon as you guys write a plan, it is outdated. The hour you write a business plan at a startup, it is already outdated because you found out something new. This is why we have this thing called a business model canvas. Instead of writing business plans, like I used to have to do, we write everything down on a business model canvas. Much quicker, easier to correct, sporty way of capturing all the essential functions that are needed when you're writing your whole business down together. When you're at a startup, you're searching. So startups require different things. And startups, you begin with a series of unknowns mostly, and then you search for knowns. Existing company, you already know a lot of the stuff that's out there, and then you just look to execute. I got some examples of this. And even the people that fill the roles in your startup company are not necessarily going to be the ones that are going to be good at an executing company, one that's actually turning the crank. I'm ill-suited to work at a big company. I just can't. I can't do it. I need chaos and noise and things like that for me to thrive. Yeah.
Your quote's incorrect. There's the create and keep customers.
That's true.
So you can say quote.
Yeah. The purpose of a business is to create and keep. I think it got cut off.
Okay.
Yeah. Create a customer. You guys create and keep a customer. So Drucker famously said that. Sounds simple. Not the easiest thing in the world to do. So when you have your startup, you got to create a customer, then you got to keep them. What's that mean? Customer is somebody who's going to pay you money. Why are they going to pay you money? Because they value what you have. They're not just nice. You can find nice people that will pay you money for something, but you can't keep them. They're not always going to be doing that. If you do find that customer, let me know. I'd like to sell them some things. All right. So startups are not small versions of big companies. They're chaotic. You need to be nimble. There's very few knowns, and there's a ton of unknowns. You don't know where you're going. You don't even know. I mean, a lot of you guys, do you even know if your technology is going to work? Let alone, how do you do it? Oh, how many people do I need on the factory floor? You don't freaking know that. You don't even know if your goddamn technology is going to work. So it's a huge difference from an operational company. So I think of it this way. There's like decision-making processes in a company. So if you have a simple decision-making processes, these happen in a large company. There's a clear cause and effect. For example, a law firm, a pizza parlor, something like that. I've never owned a pizza parlor, but the decision-making processes are pretty simple. Not saying it's easy to have a pizza parlor. Not saying that. I'm saying the decision-making processes are easy. Meaning, what do you think? What if you offered really bad tasting pizza at a really high price and you were in a really crappy neighborhood? Who thinks that's going to succeed? Right, because it's a simple process. You know the cause and effect. You got to be cheap, fast, good neighborhood, all this kind of stuff. Not saying it's easy, I'm just saying it's a simple process. You get down to complicated, complex, chaotic. At startups, when you don't even know if you're going to defy the laws of physics with what your invention is, that's chaotic, highly turbulent, almost nothing known, high tension. The people you have in that company, when you start, have to thrive in that too. You're gonna go towards this. You're gonna get to the place where you're complex. Complex means you can almost get to the point where you could hire somebody that's an expert to help giving you some advice and things like that. When you first start off, there's not even any experts out there that can help you because it's so brand new. So you want to try to get to this point. You want to try to simplify the decision-making processes so you're getting to the place where you're just turning the crank. And startups can't afford to have a strict, rigid hierarchy. So I've seen this 100 times. You know, when you first start a company, you're like, well, I'm the CEO. Well, I'm the COO. Well, I'm the CMO. I'm the CTO. I'm the C. And there's all these C's. That's great, and it's good. Put it on your business card. Use it externally. But don't get married to that title. Because there's going to come a point when, you know, maybe you're really not the CTO. Maybe you don't want to do that. Maybe you don't want to be the CEO of that company. Maybe maybe a new investor comes in and they say, hey man, I'll give you this $2 million, but I got to put my own guy in as CEO. Then you got to make a decision. So don't get married to the title. You know, hopefully you guys want to be successful, so think of it that way. So you need a free flow of ideas, all hands on deck, everybody working. You can't let teammates fail. You have a 4-person company and one person slacking. You can't let that person slack. You're not going to survive. So you got to be really cut and dry. At the core of iCore is this whole searching. So searching, you do this thing called customer discovery, which means you take your idea and you see if customers actually have a need for it. So customer discovery, we'll talk about this process, sort of think about how you're going to go talk to customers, go out, talk to customers, see if you could validate if they have a need. If you find out, oh crap, they don't really have a need for this, but maybe something else, you do a little pivot, and then you think about, okay, I'm going to go talk to this group of customers. So you go through this process of searching. Bigger company, they already have customers created, and they just want to build their company up more, so they may work more on marketing and getting the word out, things like that, because they want to entice more customers to come in. So that's execution, totally different. So founders run a customer development team, not really sales, marketing, and product development or business development. Because you're really brand new at this. Doing a lot of searching. So customer development, NSF, like I said, they came up with a method that's actually scientific. You actually develop and test hypotheses. You go out and you test something. You see if the thing that I have, I think it has this value to this target customer. Why don't I go talk to this target customer? And what we'll get into is, suppose I invent a microphone. I don't go up to somebody and say, hey man, you want to buy this microphone? It's pretty cool.
Yeah, sure, why not?
And that's what usually happens. That's what always, people say, oh sure man, that was good. Oh yeah, $50. Then you're like, well hell no, I didn't say I'd buy it. Like, yeah you did. But you and we'll talk more about this at length. You talk more openly, like, hey, how do you, if you were presenting in a big room like this, I mean, how's it work? You just yell? I mean, how do you go about that? You talk to them about their process. Make a new friend. That's what I always like to say. When you're talking to customers, try to make a new friend. Get them talking. Get them being open and see what their needs actually are. If everybody in this room is like, oh my God, I wish there was some invention that could project my voice through speakers, you're like, yes, I invented a microphone, and that's what it does, instead of even showing them the microphone. So that's the trick I want you guys to do, and we'll talk about that. All right, so at a startup, you're doing the search. We're going to talk about this business model canvas. This is a way of capturing, again, all the functioning organs within the company. Put it down on a canvas. Have you guys all seen this business model canvas before? Show of hands. Everybody? Okay. Pretty good. I should have asked for a red flag if you hadn't seen the business model canvas. It makes it a lot easier. Rick, put your red flag down. You're about to be ejected. Here is a business model canvas. And don't be surprised when you first start that everything you put in the business model canvas is a guess, because that's what it is when you first start off. Business model canvas has things like key partners, key activities, resources, value proposition, channels, etc. Scientifically designed by scientists to capture all the important things that go on inside the company. We're going to really focus on this value proposition and these customer segments through this process. Because if you ain't got those, you got nothing. You know? Who cares about your revenue stream if you don't have a product that's the customers value, or you don't know who your target customer is? So until you get this target customer and they value your idea, they value your product that's coming in the future, you don't even look at the rest of the canvas. Okay, so you start off with a bunch of guesses, then you get out and you start validating. You talk to a lot of customers, you start validating. These are still being tested, these are still guesses, things like this. It's a canvas, it's like painting. It's a series of corrected mistakes. You guess things, you correct it, you correct it, you correct it. You know, when somebody painted this guy over here, did they start painting from the bottom and they scanned it all the way up? No. They started painting red here, black there, a little green over here, and they kept getting more and more and more details, layer after layer. So it's kind of cool that it's called a canvas, because that's a canvas. This is a business model canvas. All right, so we're going to dig into the business model canvas. Again, this is one of the main reasons for this whole format of this program, and especially this product market fit, this making sure that you have the right target customers and they value your product. There's different sections. This section over here, which we're going to spend the most time on, is sort of the desirability. This is where you get at, do your customers actually have a desire? Do they have a need? Do they have a want? Do they have something that your product will fill? Feasibility is can you do it? Can you execute on it? Do you have the team? Do you have the patents? Do you have all the stuff you need to do it? And then viability is more towards the financials. Okay, you got this cure for cancer, but it's made of plutonium and platinum, and it costs $10,000 per dose. I don't even know what's expensive for medicine. But something so expensive, insurance would say, I'm never going to do that. You know? So is it going to be a viable company too? So the first thing we're going to do is work on this side. We're going to figure out what your value proposition is. We're going to do a whole workshop on it tomorrow. Who your target customers are. There's some sales channels of which, how your customers want to be sold to and things like this. How the customers want to be engaged, that type of thing. I tell people, like, you know, the ice cream man goes around your neighborhood ringing the bell, selling ice cream. I mean, what if they were selling toilet paper? Like, that's weird. It'd be creepy as hell. You wouldn't go to hear the ding-a-ling man to go buy toilet paper, because that's not how you like being approached. So it sounds ridiculous, but there's an approach to customers that they're used to, and you don't want to go in a weird way, you know? So don't rent a ding-a-ling truck and start selling some sort of 3D Petri dish protein scaffolding thing. Kids will run. My kids would never eat the ice cream. Actually, come to my house. They would never go to the ice cream man again. That's a good idea. It's so hard to figure out who your actual customer is. Sounds ridiculous, right? Well, I know who my customer is. It's confusing. It's really confusing. I've been confused 100 times. Customer is somebody who's going to pay you money for your product. Customers get very complicated. Anybody that's in bio, your customer is complicated. Who is the customer? Is it the end user? Is it the person that's getting the treatment or something like that? Is it the lab director? Is it the hospital? Is it insurance? Who is it? There's this diffuse group of decision makers. So there's influencers, there's saboteurs, people that, okay, you might eliminate somebody's job with your thing. They're not going to be people that are going to take kindly to your invention. There's recommenders, technical evaluators. We're going to go through this process and you're going to figure out where the money flows. How does the money flow and who is your actual target customer? And we'll see, like I had a product one time I was selling to the military, and I think I'll do an example later. Oh yeah, I want to sell it to the Army. Do this as a test. Hi, Army. Call somebody, like, hello, Army, would you buy it? There's nobody, you can't just call 1-800-ARMY. I guess there is 1-800-GO-ARMY, but that's to join. But you know, to actually get somebody to buy your product, you can't just call the Army. Who is it in the Army? Who is that person that's got the check writing authority that's going to buy it? That's what you got to get to. And what about my technology? A lot of people say that, and a lot of people, when you first start off also, you're like, damn, I don't want to tell people about my intellectual property. They're going to steal it. Like, if you're talking about your intellectual property, you're not doing it right. Because you shouldn't have to talk about your technology. You should be asking really high-level questions to try to figure out if this customer is actually a viable customer and do they need what you have. So, in many respects, I hate to say it, I'm actually I'm a recovering engineer myself, so I can say it. They don't care about your technology. Nobody cares about your technology. You do, you love it. Nobody else does. They want to make sure that it's what you have solves a problem. They don't care how it happens. They just want to make sure it solves it. So, yeah, they're just saying if your technology is actually going to solve a problem, some sort of point of pain that they have. Here's other things. Who's your exact customer? What problems do they have? There's many different ways to sell. You have a product, you have a service, you have an app. You know, you're going to sell it in a subscription model. Like you're selling widgets. How does this whole thing work? So everybody's business model canvas is going to be different. So I wanted you guys to think about the what's. So what problem are you solving? In fact, on campus, we run several little programs trying to get people to think about problems. Don't think about solutions. Just think about problems first. It's actually easier. Thinking of solutions is hard. Thinking of problems, I can think of a lot of different problems. If you come up with a really high quality problem, a problem that hasn't been solved, a problem that people are very interested in solving, if you put some brain power behind that and solve it, you're very likely to have a more successful company. So start with figuring out what problems you're actually trying to solve. Which customers have this particular problem, and what are they doing now? What options do they have to solve it? Here is the classic definition of writing a value proposition. Now remember, like I said, a value proposition, this is really the central spine of that business model canvas. And this is the reason people are going to be buying your product. It's what value your product brings to them. So this is the template I want you guys to use. So these notes are posted. You guys will have access to them, but this is the format I want you guys to start using for your value proposition. So for target customers. So for dairy farmers who need to try to save their cows from mastitis, or something like that. The Masto 5000 in the product category or whatever provides this key benefit. You can detect this stuff in an hour, and you don't have to waste a lot of time and money and effort, getting rid of all your milk and things like that. Unlike the competition, which is just eyeballing to see if they look sick or something. That type of thing is how you do a value proposition. Common failure modes for trying to figure out this value proposition in customer segments. Maybe you're solving a problem for too few, or people just don't care about it that much. You know? It may still be a problem, but people, it's not that big a problem. They can live with it. You know what's crazy though? Top 10 reasons why a startup fails. Number 1 reason, no market need. What that means is there are companies out there, ridiculous startup companies. They must be run by idiots that are coming up with products, launching products that nobody needs. Can you imagine ever launching a product that nobody needs? That's crazy, that's stupid, why would you do that? Ladies and gentlemen, I've done that no less than 12 times. I'm telling you, you get to believe in your own stuff, drink your own Kool-Aid, you're like, shit, man, this thing is so awesome. I know people want this. I want it. It's awesome. People will buy this. You get a few people buying it. Not many that really need it. It's crazy. You guys, who's decorated their Christmas tree with peach-colored Christmas lights? Anybody? You guys have, because I've given you the peach lights, haven't you? Bastards. No, you haven't decorated with peach-colored Christmas lights because nobody wants them. But I got a whole warehouse full of them in Waterville. Why? I never talked to a customer. Anyway, I got rid of them, bartered for food, gave you guys some, so thank you. Anyway, it is easy to launch a product that people don't actually want. It's the most common reason why companies fail. You're not alone. We're trying to save you from that. Trying to talk you down from the ledge and make sure that you don't do that. Don't go out there with a product that nobody wants. We're not going to let you. We're going to try not to let you. Biggest thing I'm going to be harping on is value proposition to this target customer. There's going to be different value propositions to different target customer segments, perhaps. Maybe you're selling to teenage Japanese girls and to elderly women in the United States. Probably 2 different value propositions for those 2 different groups. Possible, very possible, happens all the time. So you're going to have to map your value proposition to the target customer groups that you're looking at. You guys with complicated customers, you're going to have to figure out how the money flows. You may ultimately be selling to insurance company, something like that. Not sure. But that will be your target customer, the person that's actually going to give you money. Left-hand side is the feasibility. This is more of the execution side of things. Can you do what you need to do? Do you have the key resources? Do you have the team that you need? Can you execute the business plan? These type of things. So it's just as important, but the main thing is don't even start studying this and building your team up until you really know if you have this target market and the value proposition for them. Coming up with a strategy, setting priorities, do you have the right skill set that you need within the company, things like that. So this is actually easier, this left-hand side. It's more nuts and bolts. It's more classic, business 101 type stuff. Financials and things like that, you got to raise enough money. You got to see if there's, if it's a patentable area, do you have a clean patent landscape and things like that. Common failures in the feasibility side, poor execution. This is when you have people on your team that don't fit in and you leave them there too long. That type of thing, that'll kill you in that sort of phase. Maybe too much overhead on the unit cost of production of your widget, whatever that is. It's going to cost too much to make. But again, most customers fail, or most companies fail because of lack of customers, not because of execution. And then the bottom side is the viability, and this is where you get into the financials, income statement, balance sheets, cost flow, cash flow. When you get to this point, then life's a lot easier. If you've already got the customer, target customer, you understand that you have the right team and things like that, you start studying this. But again, there's many ways you can fail, but in the viability side, all along the financials. So is this thing going to cost too much to deliver? You just can't, people won't accept it at this price, and that's the price you need to make money. You need it to be down here, you're not going to be able to make money. I've had that situation before. customer lifetime value is very low, maybe there's competitors, it's a red ocean technology, something like that. So lots of ways to fail here. But again, you don't even get the luxury of failing there until you have product market fit. Steve Blank is a Stanford professor now who really is the grandfather of this whole lean startup methodology. So you may see his name quoted a few times. So he says, don't sell what you make what you can sell. Makes sense, right? You can Google Steve Blank. He's got about 1 million videos out there. Some are better than others, but if you get bored sometime, you want to, one of the Friday nights when we're not meeting, go look at a bunch of Steve Blank videos. Pretty good. There we go. Look at that. Do we have food here? Kelly just took off. She's eating the food early, isn't she? We'll wait till she gets back in. Any questions so far? Yeah?
So let's go back to your quote where you said you have to create and keep a customer.
Yes.
Maybe you just didn't create customers who need peach Christmas tree.
It's very true. Yeah, it's and you're absolutely right. Because we tried to sell peach-colored Christmas lights as Christmas lights. They weren't well suited for Christmas lights. They could be decorative light strands for people that fancy the color peach, which there's a group out there. You're right, we should have targeted that group. We didn't. We were selling just as generic Christmas lights. But as we'll see, like after the break, we're going to get into market sizing. And man, the market for peach-colored decorative lights is like, you wouldn't get a lot of people funding that. Wise guy. Who's got the red flag? Show me the red flag. Why did this bald-headed, middle-aged, retarded guy make peach-colored Christmas lights to sell? I think that's what he's trying to say. No, it's a good question. I've asked myself that 100 times. Actually, I'm going to save that. I actually have slides on it. I just remembered because I have a whole. Yes, that's going to be good. I was going to ruin it, but now I'm not going to ruin it. I'm going to keep you in suspenders. But yeah, there's a whole story behind it, and I think it's pretty. I mean, looking back, I think it's hilarious. But it was just stupidity, And it was just, my God, why didn't I just go talk to some customers? I used things like focus groups, color experts and things like that. I didn't go talk to actually paying customers. But we'll talk about that.
So maybe talking about it, calling it Christmas lights was a problem.
That was a problem, right? But we signed a deal with a company called Holiday Creations, and they sold Christmas lights. They didn't even sell Halloween lights. They were just selling Christmas lights. So we got into the habit of just saying Christmas lights and all that. But yeah, we could have rebranded it. We didn't need to. We ultimately sold the technology to Samsung, that's the silver lining. So we didn't really need to sell those lights, I guess, because we got a pretty decent deal out of Samsung, ultimately.
Did that be a pivot?
What's that?
Did that be a pivot?
That was a pivot. Yes, that was a pivot. And in fact, we did have a warehouse in Watervliet with all these decorative light strands in the warehouse. And once we signed the deal with Samsung, they said, okay, we own the technology, we own all the products. So you have to destroy all of your products. So I was like, destroy? So I took that as, you can't sell them for money. So I bartered for food. So if you look around the city of Troy, you will see a ton of peach, aqua, lime green, pink Christmas lights everywhere. And that's because we bartered for food. Wait, is the camera? Hi, I'm Jeff Gronkin, and and that's my story. All right, no, just kidding. Anyway, I don't think they'd mind. Samsung wouldn't mind if we were just giving stuff away. I mean, come on. But I couldn't destroy it. I could catch on fire, throw them in a dumpster or something. I had to get something out of them. So yeah, I bartered for food, made a lot of friends, things like that. So you'll see, if you ever go to the bar called the Bradley or to the Ruck in Troy, Christmas lights everywhere. In fact, the Ruck has had our Christmas lights on for 9 years solid, and they've all turned blue. So they were peach and pink and plum and all these other colors. Now they've all this quantum dot technology has bleached out, and now they're all blue. We never made a blue Christmas light strand, but don't tell anybody because they look beautiful still. holding strong.
Were
Okay.
they LED lights? or-
LED lights, yeah, LEDs, and I'll explain it later, but LED lights with quantum dots on top, so there's new nanomaterial on top of them. So, pretty cool stuff.
One more 2-minute pitch. Meg?
One more 2-minute pitch. Okay.
I was playing with paddles over as well.
Let me get you fired up here.
Yeah, I already read before I came here, actually.
Okay.
Dropped it into my folders.
It's not on Dropbox, it's on Drive.
Oh, it's
It's
on
on
Drive.
Google Drive.
Ah,
Yeah.
I always forget. All right, I'll find it. Any other questions real quick? We got some good food coming.
Do you understand the paddles? When you start, we're going to be like this. And as you go through your presentation, once we understand what your problem is and how you're going to sell it, we go like that. And that's how you know you explained your idea.
Make sense?
Sure.
Which one's your team? See, this one?
Yeah. Okay, I'll start and just see all of the red flags. I don't feel terribly bad, so that's starting, okay. Right, so my idea here is to start a company on creating chatbots, and more particularly, I want to work on chatbots that can be a social companion, which means they will form a long-term relationship with the customer. And who am I? I want to first convince you that I actually know how to do this thing.
Use the microphone.
Oh, I'm sorry. So who am I? I want to first convince you that I can actually do such things. So I have been spending most of my life in cognitive science and games, and more particularly, my own work and research has always been in dialogue agents. So at least a lot of my research area, cognitive agents, dialogue agent, interactive storytelling, so I do have related experience. And then, well, I want to talk more into, I do have created a lot of chat. I mean, not necessarily all of them are chatbots, because chatbots only get popular in the past 5 years. Before that, we have the equivalent of embodied or non-embodied conversational agents. So as for myself, over the past 10 years, we have created digital characters, social robots, of course chatbots, and more particularly, last year I was one of the sponsor team in Amazon for creating chatbots for the Alexia computation. So chatbots is one of the most eye-catching phenomena, at least in the field of AI in the past few years. I'm going to move forward a little bit. We did a survey with almost 100 chatbots. Most of them has won some kind of recommendations. The problem with it is most of the chatbots are task-oriented, and they do not have a clear personality. It doesn't make them human. So what I want to do is to bring my years of experience back then for creating characters that do have a personality, emotion, decision-making into the chatbot creation so that they will form this relationship as a person. And then you can use the chatbots to do information collection, crowdsourcing, customer review, and such.
Red flags, green flags. Not bad, look at that. A lot of green, a lot of green. Awesome. Okay, guys, any other questions? Because now we have food. You're free to go get food in the back of the room. Come back up here in a little bit. Okay, guys, let's wrap it up.
She seems to be a bank.
I don't want to occupy all your Friday night. I know you got some laundry to do, things like that. Got to get back to feed the cat. Something. Doing something tonight. All righty, how'd that exercise go?
Good.
Anybody with a red didn't like it? It was very nebulous. But you know what, you guys are entrepreneurs. You're used to swimming in the world of chaos, right? You could go with very few instructions. So it's good. So 15 minutes to do market sizing. So let's grab some random people. Let's have you guys come up and talk. So these guys had an app. They have different target customers. They have an app that can share contact information. It can share content on phones. It marries two phones together in the blink of an eye. And so, therefore, who wouldn't want this, right? So it's huge potential. So tell us your thought process.
So like, if one of the reasons why we are here is precisely this problem, right? Which is that our target segment is essentially anybody in the age range of about 18 to, about, let's say 18 to 50 with a smartphone who, does a decent amount of socializing, if you will, right? So that gives us a nice healthy figure of like 65 million in the US. And we know that that is a beautiful number, right. But the issue is how to gain traction towards that. So now the question becomes, that 65 million is that pie in the sky, right? But how do we get there? And so what is the first segment that is going to give us the traction? Now, we are debating a couple of things here. One could be simply college students. And the scenario we have in mind is, aside from just contact exchange, they also use the app for like resume exchange with HR managers, right? So boom, that becomes the target segment. The other option that we are debating is small business owners who use this as a method to capture customer information as people walk in and feed that into their CRMs, like MailChimp and Constant Contact. So these are what we think of that 60 million. How to get to that, these are our initial thoughts on segments that will give us traction. Now what are the sizes of these segments? That's the question. And we don't know the answer to that.
So you got the classic case, which is very common. Your first year target market is, I don't know. But that's what this is all about. You're gonna go. You only find that out by going out and talking to people. So talk to a ton of college students, talk to a ton of small businesses and things like that, and then you see. I can almost guarantee one of those groups is going to say, "Oh my God," the other is going to be like, and then you go with that one.
Yeah, but the other thing I want to point out here, which is that there are two simultaneous types of markets here. The individuals are the consumer market or the retail market who would download the app from the App Store or Play Store. Then you have the business market or the corporate clients, which is the HR managers of different companies, or say a business selling to a business, which then wants to take its individual consumers' contact information and then punch it or feed it into their Constant Contact. So those are businesses. So here we are like businesses selling. We as a business are selling to businesses, but we are as a business are also selling to retail customers, individuals like all of us that are downloading. So it's a complex.
Let me just throw this out there. So yeah, you guys, as everybody, you gotta study the market more. You gotta get out there and really talk to people and things like that to find out who. But always keep in mind, customer, money. So who is going to pay you money for this thing? Targeting college kids, it's good, but man, it can't cost very much because they don't have a lot of cash.
I hate to do this, but please download our app. If you do it, if you try it, then you can really give us good feedback.
There you go. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Anybody else want to talk about their target market? Yes, sir. Come on up.
All right.
Or stay there. Just talk loudly.
Okay. So
tell people what you did again. You were doing the energy resale.
Yeah. So
rebalance.
Building a platform so solar customers can sell back efficiently at the highest value. So given average installation size and a map that I found that's fairly credible, there's about 40,000 residential solar installations in the United States, 20,000 in my two resident states of New York and California for service available, and then target market, just looking at the capital region and my hometown, there's about 800. So 800 potential customers.
So 800 customers, but of those, then you got to break it down further and say, okay, there's 800 installed, units right now in that target area. How many of those you think will actually buy? how many will give you money out of that? So then it's gonna be a fraction of that, because you won't get,
Right.
you won't get 100%
Yeah.
uptake. So it's gonna be half those people, maybe a tenth of those people, it's gonna be 90%, and you won't know. You won't know until you start talking. Yeah. You have a question?
No.
Okay. So you won't really know until you start talking to people. That's, you know, this whole thing was intentionally left nebulous just to get you thinking about things. But always keep in mind, keep talking to customers that are going to pay you money. So of those 800 installed users, are they all potentially going to pay you money, or how much of those will pay you money for what you have? Anybody else want to testify? Yes. Yeah. Remember, just remind everybody what you guys do.
I want to straighten my neck. All right. So we were producing a smart breast pump for working mothers. So just to go through this slide. So our total available market would be all the mothers out there in the world, right, who are able to breastfeed. So for all the men, many men. A breast pump pumps breast milk to feed to the baby. Okay, let's make it really simple.
But I would challenge it, like, so it would be great that if every woman on earth needed 2 of these, you know, I mean,
right.
But that's not gonna be the case. I mean, there's gonna be some
Right, I'm
religions.
going down.
Okay, but even that though, so you could get more fine grained here. Like, maybe there's some religions that forbid it, or, you know, something. And so I don't think it would ever be, you know, that's why I was saying, I don't think it'll ever be everybody in the world or every woman in the world. So it's gonna be, maybe a fraction of that. It's in the weeds, it doesn't really matter too much.
Okay.
Yeah.
So in terms of the served available market, so that would be the working women who are able to, or who religiously have no problem using a breast pump, and who wants to keep pumping for their child so they can store the milk while their baby is being cared for in a daycare or wherever it is. And target market would be, as I'm thinking right now, it would be the capital region, because this is where I work right now, and I work for the state of New York. We have around 60 agencies, that's around 250,000 people. Not sure what exactly what the women ratio is, but let's say it's 60,000 women. And let's say 20,000 are new mothers, because we have nursing homes in all those agencies where women actually go take a break to help for their child. So that would be our target market.
Good. So that's a great thought process. So yeah, that's good. Now, what you're going to find also is, like, when you start going to talk to people that are of that age, your target demographic, they work for the state, they're pregnant, all this kind of stuff, there's going to be a fraction of those that buy, and then a fraction that say, I'm good, I don't need it. So try to figure that out too, and give you more insight. Yeah. Yeah, come on up.
So you said this was complicated, so I got 3 answers here.
Hey, there you go, man. It's perfect.
So at Preventide, we have this drug that's useful for the treatment and prevention of breast cancer. But you know what? Preventide isn't really going to become a major pharmaceutical company anytime soon. We're going to have to partner with a major pharmaceutical company. So really, our customers are about 6.
Oh, yeah.
You know,
Right.
I have to sell this to a pharmaceutical company. So that's one answer. Right?
That's very good. Instead of thinking of all the end users out there, really think about who the paying customer is going to be, and it's going to be Pfizer and 4 others. Yeah.
Is that good for you, or you want my other answer?
I like that one, but keep going. Let's hear the others.
So if we did want to think about end users, then I have to, you know, it's, AFPEP is useful for treatment and prevention, but it's going to come to market first for treatment. I think pharmaceutical companies will shy away from prevention initially because of liability things, you know, like you're looking at hangnail or something that's sue you. So they'll come to market for treatment. That market is pretty well defined. There's, you know, drugs currently being used as tamoxifen, so there's, you know, roughly 2 million people, I did the calculations, that are currently using it. AFPEP could break into that market without really displacing tamoxifen. It won't replace it, because now what physicians do, they use tamoxifen for a while, and then AFPEP for a while, and then raloxifene for a while, and then repeat the cycle. So I think it could break into that market of 2, 3, 4 million. And my third answer is, but eventually it will come to use for prevention. And there, you know, if you think of what is the HPV vaccine, it's used for all girls. This is so safe, it could be used for all women. And then I have to cut that back down to maybe high-risk women,
Right.
women that have a relative breast cancer. You know, I can narrow that down. So that's my 3 answers.
That's good, all right. That's a good, this whole exercise, again, is to not get really bogged down in numbers. You know, you could really go at this and you could spend decades on this. I'm telling you, people do this for a living. Just get a high-level swag. Understand who's paying, who your customer is. So that was good. He's going to be selling to pharmaceutical companies, most likely. So that's great. So target that. Make sense? Always focus on the money. Okay. What's the biggest problems why startups fail?
You want to do all of yours, or?
I wasn't going to do all of them. Just I wanted to give you guys some time to get home and do laundry and stuff like that on Friday night, because there's homework too. So I want to. Sorry, I can't get through everybody. We got a big cohort. Why do companies fail? Biggest reason, they make something that nobody wants. Customer discovery saves you from that pain and anguish. Customer discovery is about getting out of your office, getting out of your lab, and going to talk to actual people that are going to pay you money for these things. So every one of you guys is going to go out. You have target customers in mind. You may start talking to them, and they're yawning while you're talking, and they don't really need it. It's okay. Go talk to some other customers. I would say when you start, cast the widest net possible. Talk to people, I don't even know if they want to buy, but see if they have a need. Why not? Early stage customer discovery is beautiful. You'll never be at this stage again. So it's a great time to cast the widest net. Totally fine to pivot from your initial idea. Accepted, encouraged. So there's a scientific method for testing hypotheses around whether or not this person's actually going to need what you have. And I'll give you some techniques. But you're going to get out into the field and do this. You're going to get out and talk to real customers, real target customers, and see if they actually need what you have. Not selling it to them, but getting out and seeing if they need it. So again, I'll give you some thoughts on that. So there's this whole loop. It's like science. You come up with an idea. You know what, I think this behaves this way because of X, Y, Z. Great. Figure out what your experiment's going to be. How do you test that that's correct? Well, I need to mix it with this and that, stir it. That'll test if this is actually reacting. Great, then go test it. And then you learn from it. Look at the measured results. Test it, get the insight. What happened? Same thing happens here. I believe that women that work for the state that have time to breast pump and that are between 25 and 30 and are first time pregnant would use this automatic breast pump. That's my hypothesis. How are you going to test it? Well, I better go out and target those women. I'm going to talk to them. I'm not going to say, here, do you want the Breastmaster 2000? No, I'm going to say, hey, how's it going? You're pregnant. Yeah, what do you do? I mean, do you is your kid in daycare? Yeah, oh, that's great. How old? Start talking to them. Get them talking. If they say to you, my God, it is so embarrassing to have to go and breast pump because everybody in my office sees me leave my cubicle with my equipment and things like that. But if they had the Breastmaster 2000, they could do it right there or something. I don't know. But if they say something like that to you, unsolicited, that's what we're trying to get to. So you're not trying to trick them. You're trying to have a conversation with them to see if they actually come up with your problem. So if they come up and they validate, you've done a great experiment. Again, don't show them. Hey man, look at this thing. It looks comfortable, easy to wear, right? What do you think? Would you buy it? Most likely. Oh yeah, it looks good. Yeah, I'd buy it. And then I got a meeting. I gotta go to a meeting. See ya. People like to be nice. They're not gonna say, I want to buy that piece of shit, get out of here. They're gonna say, yeah, it looks good. Oh man, woo, I'm late. So don't sell. Find your target customer, come up with a way to approach them in a clever way to try to get them talking. I always say customer discovery is really making a new friend. That's your goal, make a new friend. They may get off on a tangent, let them go until you can't take it anymore. Then try to reel them back in, but just let them feel comfortable, let them feel comfortable. You don't want to be a salesperson.
Can I say a
Test it? Yeah.
So the breast pump product is a good analogy, I think, of better mousetrap technology. I mean, so there's an established set of companies that already make a product. I'm assuming yours is an improvement.
Yep.
So your end user's your end user. The likelihood you're going to make and manufacture and sell a bunch of new modified breast pumps may or may not be something you are interested in doing. But when you're looking at your value proposition is a improved mousetrap, when is the existing mousetrap manufacturer the customer you want to talk to?
Always. I would do it at the very beginning and do it continuously. Never tell them what you have necessarily,
Yeah, that's
but
my point.
you know what? Like I was just at a conference over in Amsterdam, display conference. So I have a company that's making a new kind of display. So I went up to Sony. Sony's a tough nut to crack. Just go right up to them. Man, the display is awesome. So I know that they're selling a competitive display. Once I start making displays, I'm going to compete with Sony. So, but I wanted to get some intel, right? Go up to a menu, display looks great. You know, your breast pump, you must be selling a ton of them, right? Yeah, we sell a bunch. Who do you sell to mostly? This person, this person. Wow, that's great. What's your, what's your demographic you sell to? Oh, these. What's the biggest complaint you hear from customers? If you can get to them to that point. Oh, they sell this, and we get a lot of returns because of this. Really? Oh, what else? Like, you know, what if you had a magic wand? What can you do differently on your widget to make it better? Like, again, just get them talking, being open. Never tell them that you're selling a competitive product, but get them talking about. Maybe they'll start talking about what their problems and issues are with their customers. And man, if we could just fix this issue, that would be wonderful. That type of thing. So. Hard to get to that point with people, but you can. Last day of a conference, when people want to get out of there, they get a little more loose. And a lot of times, at least with students, you could have your student hat on. Hey, I'm a student at RPI, working on some projects. I'm here to help, like with new materials and devices and things like. You know, with your breast pump, is there anything you'd like it to do differently? Because hey, I'm just a student, like working on some things. They might be more open. You know, yeah.
I'd be very wary of the magic wand question.
Yeah.
Especially if your product does not have a direct competitor, because your customer does not understand that there are other ways to solve this problem, which is what you're doing. So it'll give you a warped response. If there's a direct competitor, like, okay, there's this pump does this, and my breast pump does this, it's a bit different. But for technology, the products, similar products that are out there right now are common. You know, think of the iPod. You know, that question is the double-edged sword.
Yeah, it could be. So get out there. This is why we're going to go to the farmer's market first, because unlikely any of you guys have a product that's going to be sold at the farmer's market. Okay? You guys, I know. You'll be up there. Download the app. I can't wait.
The milk product, right?
Yeah, the milk. All right, dairy.
The dairy farmer.
Dairy farmers. That's very true. Right. So don't interrupt her role, man. If she's going up talking to the dairy people, stay the hell away.
All
right?
We're tag teaming.
Our tag team.
How do I know?
My
this
God,
is
like,
contaminated?
oh, you fixed this problem. My God, I must have it. Like, oh yeah, good times. All right, let's keep rolling. All right. What problem are you trying to solve for the customers? And basically, you're going to get out of the lab, out of your office, out of your comfort zone. You're going to go talk to strangers, talk to people. Much, much better to talk to people face to face, because then you get the body language and things like that. If you're emailing somebody, hey man, what's your problem with the breast pump that you got now and stuff like that, and then you finally get to the point where you do introduce something about your product, you don't know what their inflection are or anything like that. You don't know if they're like, oh yeah, ooh, you know, you don't know, you don't see it. So you got to speak and you got to listen a lot when you're out doing customer discovery. You need to listen to customers, see what their problems are. Often, very, very, very often, you will get out there, you start talking to your target customer, who you think is your target customer. They may end up not being your target customer, but each of them says the same thing. Like, my God, I wish I had a plastic that could withstand this sort of temperature gradient. Really? I didn't think about that. That's not my problem. Then you go to the next one. Oh man, this is my biggest problem is the plastic that can survive these high temperatures. Like, ooh, I didn't know that, but that same person just said it. You go to 20 people and they say that, it's an industry problem, ladies and gentlemen, right there. It's not your problem, it's not your solution, but it's definitely a problem that you discovered. Put it in your queue, you might want to use it later. That's a great way to start a company. My next company, I'm going to start it that way, I guarantee. I'm going to go to a trade show, I'm going to start talking to people, I'm going to see what the industry need is, because I want to go to a cool trade show, like space or something, you know? And hey, space people, what's the biggest problem, man? Try to figure out what the biggest issue is. I don't know if I can solve it, but try to figure out what the problem is, you know? That's a whole other issue. Don't be afraid to pivot. You're going to hear things from customers. Your target customer that you think is a target may not be a target after all. They may yawn when they're talking to you, but these other customers are like, man, tomato farmers really love my thing. I can't believe it. You guys might find that tomorrow. Everybody's growing tomatoes. They're my early adopter for this thing. They really communicate a lot with each other. Who knows? Face-to-face conversations is absolutely the key, okay? Common traits. This is rookie mistakes 101 here. I'm worried people are going to steal my idea. My idea is so good, I don't want to tell anybody. You're telling people what your idea is, you're doing it wrong. I want you guys telling people the cure for breast cancer. You're doing it wrong if you do that. You're supposed to be listening to them. So don't worry about them stealing your idea. Okay? Don't be pitching your idea, you gotta be listening to them. You throw out some open-ended questions, and these are hard, they're hard to come up with, guys. It's really hard to come up with open-ended questions. You know, I don't want you guys saying, hey, target customer, so do you want a cure for breast cancer? Nope, don't want it, don't need it. I don't like anybody with breast cancer, so nope, don't want it. It's not gonna happen. That's a really bad question. So there are questions like that, and it's so easy to get into that trap. Just ask these lob questions. You already know what the answer is, don't ask it. People are uncomfortable talking to strangers, they fear rejection. I talk to so many strangers, I have been rejected so many times, I don't even know strangers anymore. I don't even know rejection anymore. It doesn't even register. I want you guys to be so thick-skinned that happens to you. I'm scarred, I got battle scars all over the place, man. You need to walk into a place, go talk to strangers, you get shut down, go talk to the next stranger. They're probably cooler anyway. Keep moving. Don't get discouraged. But it is discouraging when you first start this process. Remember, when you talk to customers, people buy because they have a need. They're not buying it because they think that you're a cool dude or cool chick. They buy it because they have a need. That's why they're going to shell out money. The act of buying is more emotional than intellectual, you know? That's why there's Corvettes, you know? It's an emotional decision, not using logic. Using logic and reasoning, I need to buy a Corvette. No, said nobody ever. But people buy them. It's emotional. People buy for their reasons, not yours. People have their own reasons, a very personal decision to buy things. You need to discover why they're buying it. Look for their pain indicators. You know, ask them open-ended things. Hey, you know, be kind when you approach a stranger. You know, hey, you're the expert in this field. You know, did I catch you at a bad time? Because, you know, you guys have a great excuse. I'm working on an NSF-funded project, you know, National Science Foundation. I'm working on this project. It's a very short window. And my teacher's a real ass, and he's asked me to come out and talk to people. So I need to just talk to you. You're an expert in this area. Can I talk to you for just a minute? Oh, yeah. I mean, people aren't going to say no, usually. So you're really business savvy. You have a lot of contacts in the region. I could really use your expertise. Just want to talk about like the market for this thing. You know, see what you think. I appreciate your time. You know, I might have some follow-up questions. Can I ask you some questions later? You know, can I do some follow-ups with you? Anybody else I should talk to? Those kind of things. So again, it's really about talking to people, making a new friend, making a contact, and asking very light touch, open-ended questions that then get them to a point where they're talking about what their problems are. Not the easiest thing in the world to do. I've been doing this for a while now. I got shut down so many times over at that last conference. I mean, I got my ass handed to me several times by people because I was talking to the frontline salespeople at this big trade show, and you know, I get to the point where I'm like, hey, so what are your biggest manufacturing issues with a display like this? It's a fantastic display, really tiny LEDs, man. What's your biggest manufacturing issues? None. Oh, really? None? Yeah, no issues. Okay. I mean, looks like it'd be really hard to make. Nope. Wow, okay, so you can place all those LEDs. I'm starting to get pissed. Like, my technology can do it much better. Like, I'm not saying that, but I'm like, so you guys can place all these 24 million LEDs on this screen, and they're the size of your hair, and you can do that really fast? Yeah, it's great. We got it all fixed, yeah? Damn, shut down. But at a big trade show like that, the front line, his salespeople, they're there to sell. They saw me as a chump coming in. I don't have any money. I'm not buying their stuff. Why are they even talking to me? They don't want to. So I got wiser later and started weaseling my way back to talk to the engineers and the technical people behind the scenes. And that was a lot more fruitful. But you learn these things. You pivot as you go through. So even as a 53-year-old man, I'm still pivoting. And yes, so after you hear from these people, do you have a solution for their problem once you find out what their need is? It's all about product market fit, ladies and gentlemen. Can you build and deliver a product or service that satisfies a customer need or customer problem? We'll get in later, is it a big enough problem? Is it a strong enough need? All these kind of things. There's a need for plastic plate holders with cups. Not a strong need, you know? So you guys are going to use the buddy system when you're going to go out doing customer discovery. It's always best to use at least 2 people in a team. You don't want to have a 7-person team converge onto a person. Hey, we're here to do customer discovery. Like, what the? You know? If you have 1 person, you're not going to capture everything. I know that like Kelly and I could go talk to somebody, and we will come back with 2 different views of what that person said. Because I listen to things differently than she does, and always rely on Kelly, not me, because I have lots of filters and things. Come in with a note taker, come in with somebody who's more of the question asker and things like that. Start by writing a list of guesses. What are your guesses? You guys think that college-age kids would use this for resume sharing and things like that. You know, whatever your guess is. Great. Write that down. Then figure out, okay, how am I going to test that? First of all, who am I going to ask? Well, college students. That's easy. How am I going to find out if they need to share their resume? So try to figure out some questions you would ask to do that. You know, maybe you can ask, hey man, how do you got a resume? Yeah, I got a resume. What do you do with it? They might all say, oh, I put it on Indeed, that's it. Just mount it, put it right up on Indeed. You don't use it for anything else? Nope. Okay, good information. If their resume is more portable and they like giving it to people and stuff like that, great. Tell me about that process. How did that go? How's it going? How'd it work? Any problems with it? Any issues? And you wish you could change? Those type of things. So do some pre-gaming first. Think about the questions you want answers to, your assumptions. Figure out how you're gonna test those things, and then get out and start talking. It's so easy to ignore signals. My God, I've done this so many times. You know, come out of a meeting and you're like, man, they said they want to hear from us in 6 months. They were so interested. It's awesome. They want us to give them an update. This is a huge company, man. This is Samsung. They want us to give us an update in 6 months because they'll be back here in the U.S. and they want to talk to us in 6 months. That was successful. That was bullshit, man. That wasn't successful at all. But you start drinking your own Kool-Aid about things. Little cartoon. We surveyed 250 people in 10 depth interviews in Scandinavia. This business will be a success. Sloppy research. That's probably not a successful way to go. Surveys and things like that, they don't work. At this phase, like if you're going to do a survey to ask if people want an additional feature or something on something that already exists, some incremental thing, you know, maybe surveys are good. For you guys, not even knowing if the laws of physics are going to be violated with your invention and things like that, surveys not going to really help. You got to get right in there, roll up your sleeves, and start talking to people. Hardest thing you can do, besides talking to strangers, is coming up with good things to test. They must be testable, specific, avoid confirmation bias. You can't prime the response. Things like, you know, like I said, hey, who here wants a cure for cancer? Come on, you can't ask that kind of thing. Don't get into the weeds. Don't ask yes and no questions in general. Hey, do you ever use a cell phone? Yes. How many hours a week do you use it? 5. That's getting you no information. That's giving you absolutely no information. So you want to ask conversational questions. You want to ask this much and you want to listen this much. So ask very open-ended questions. Things like, hey, tell me about that experience. Like, you know, when you did that. Like, how's that working for you? How's that been? Has that been good? Like, well, you know, what's going on? So, when you're doing your pre-game analysis before you get out and start talking to customers, I want you to think of things like this. So, I believe my target customers, you know, I believe that dairy farmers that have this problem with cows really could use a test that verifies if they have this disease or not. And then go, see if that works. Test this out. That's your hypothesis, and then go off. In order to test this thing, what has to be true? Try to figure that out. Oh, okay. If a dairy farmer never has that problem with their cow, they may not be interested. So that's one thing. Hey, dairy farmer, have you ever had this problem with this cow? Never. Okay, that tested that hypothesis. Maybe this isn't a big problem for that guy. Something like that. So do this before you leave the building. Everybody's going to have a totally different thing. Keep in mind the money. Where's the money coming from? That's your customer. Whoever your customer is, whoever's going to pay you the money, these are the people you have to target, and they're the ones you have to get clever with and try to think of what your hypothesis is that you're trying to test, okay? All right. So yeah, don't try to make it statistically valid, getting out there. I'm going to talk to 100 customers at this farmer's market, and I'm going to ask them a lot of the same questions. You don't have to do that kind of thing. That's not the point at this stage. Encourage a story. Don't lead them with the technology. Do not sell. Ask why, then why, then why, and ask them more and more questions about that. Again, I keep hammering it home. You're just trying to make a new friend. You're just trying to get a contact. You actually want this person to be in your Rolodex in the future. If you had his app, then you can just zap it and right there, you're connected. But you want to be able to contact them in the future when you've refined your idea and you've refined your target markets and things like that. You want to be able to go back to them with then some more detailed questions. Okay? All right. Face-to-face is always best. Phone calls are okay. Sometimes you guys might not find customers in this area. You guys have a pretty specific thing. Maybe there's 5 people in labs in the general area that you could talk to, but otherwise you may have to resort to phone calls. Beauty of this program, go find a conference to go to. So for all you guys, look for a conference to go to tonight. Of this is my target market, and these are the people that I can talk to, and we will pay you to go to that conference. That's what this is all about. So, yeah.
Some conferences cost $3,500. Some cost $40. Can you specify the types of conferences you want us to go to?
I could specify it by saying this. If it's a super expensive conference, we'll have to take a look at it and see if it's good. We can't send 7 people to a super expensive conference. We might be able to send 1. But man, if it's super expensive, it better be damn good. We also got clever ways. Kelly, you don't want to tangle with Kelly. Kelly should never be your target customer because she will nickel and dime you down so much, ask for student discount. She's got student discount and AARP discount in the same person. I don't even know how she does it. Combines that shit, it's magic, freaking magic. But we've done student discounts. Hey man, we're working the NSF. The government's paying us to go to this thing, man. Come on, cut us a break. Like we could do some things. Super important though to find the right conference to go to, guys. That is one-stop shopping. You're going to talk to 200 people there. Oh my God, how long would that take you to do on the streets of Troy? Forever, So find a conference, do it soon. Because we'd like to wrap this up sometime, this spring. Yeah, this is more motherhood stuff. I beat this so much, man. I'm listening to you guys. Now it's your turn. We're going to do a little experiment. Okay, let's do this. So, I want you guys to find a stranger. If I see you guys pairing up with people that you already know, I'm going to be pissed. I'm going to break you up. I want you to find a stranger. I want you to talk to this stranger about what happened last time they bought an electronic device. Because you've invented some electronic consumer good. I don't know what it is. You don't need to know what it is. You invented something. I want you to go talk to a stranger that's not on your team, divide up in pairs, and I want you to ask $100 or more in a retail store. It's a pretty good question, pretty wide open. Maybe people say, I never go to retail stores. What are you going to say? Oh, I'm going to just be quiet, shut down. No, you're not going to shut down. You're going to ask them another little leading question. Well, how did you buy that? Well, tell me about that. So continue for 3 minutes taking notes during this interview, okay? Open-ended question. It's a pretty decent way to start. Very open-ended question, talking to a stranger. Tell me about the last time you purchased an electronic device that cost more than $100. Do it for 3 minutes, change roles, do it for another 3 minutes, and then you're going to report out. All righty? Sound good? Make it happen.
You want to do it?
Talk to a stranger. They got to be strange.
Sure.
How'd the conversation go?
I think it went pretty well. I think one of the things I learned and discovered was that the last thing he bought for $100, and I didn't remember that the question was his iPhone.
Yeah.
And so one of the biggest problems I found out toward the end of that was, and this is what I've heard from a lot of people, they drop and they break easy.
Yep.
But people won't put a cover on them because they look ugly and they cost too much. So that could be a problem that's solvable. Something that's pretty nice and visible or goes well with it, but also less than like $50.
Gotcha. Anybody else have a cell phone breaking problem that came out of the conversation? A couple? Yeah? You? All right, so you guys talk to each other?
Yeah.
Okay, how'd that go?
Good. So I think this is Mark.
Yes. Yeah, nice. All right.
So,
you made new friends here, man.
Yeah.
Does he have your app?
I do have.
Yes.
We exchanged.
There we go, man. Making love connections here. It's good.
I learned like the consumer experience with buying products in person is sometimes superior to online if they have like mutual interest.
Okay. So you don't like to really buy online necessarily. You like to go.
I do like.
But unless
Yeah.
it's like hi-fi audio and the other person cares about it, that's like a better experience.
Okay. Gotcha.
I imagine like online sales is somewhat impersonal, right?
Yep. You learn anything from Lucian?
Yeah, he bought a pair of Beats headphones like today.
Today?
He bought like an Apple Watch 2 weeks back, so he like was totally I bought like $100.
Everybody get out. I gotta display. I gotta sell.
But what was interesting was that the Beats headphones that he bought today, he was pitched to by Facebook and another, but he got it by impulse while walking through the bookstore.
But he remembered the Facebook ads that were pushed his way and all that kind of stuff. That's good. That's good insight. That kind of stuff will help you out later too. Even if you're not selling that thing, it's like, geez, I got to advertise on Facebook, man. It's a good way to get to people. That's why I like taking notes on something like this. Super important. Because after tonight, you're gonna go home. You won't even remember what he said. But if you have it written down, you could go back to that and say, oh yeah, I remember that now. If it wasn't directly aligned with what your product is, probably won't remember it. Otherwise, if you write it down, you will. How about you two strangers?
Well, we both agree that buying online is a lot faster, a lot more convenient.
Yeah.
We both value brands that take care of their customers. So if something breaks, they take care of you.
What's the last thing she bought on for $100? Nothing. Yeah. How about you?
I bought a camera. Years ago.
You go to the store to do that?
Yeah, online.
Okay. You learn anything in particular about each other that you want to share? It's a share time. It's safe. It's a safe.
Both have issues asking questions, and it's very difficult.
Okay.
It's difficult to talk and try to have a conversation, write stuff down.
And write stuff down. That's why if you want to teach, you're not, but if you were, one of the note taker wants to ask her, and then you could write notes and then talk about it afterwards. Immediately after you take the notes, bounce it off of him or whoever you're talking to say, hey man, this is what I collected. Oh no, I don't remember that way, I remember this way. And that's great to get both those together. Yeah.
Is it rude to just like record the conversation?
Ask, So there's no harm in asking, and in fact, it's almost honorable. Like if you recording may be a little much, but if you say, hey man, I'm gonna take notes, and I gotta make sure. Can you just slow down for a little bit? Like I'm taking notes here as fast as I can. Then they'll slow down and stuff like that. You can ask them though, hey, do you mind if I record it? Because it's so much gold. I need to record this. They may be okay with it. Some people they get a little skittish about it. Don't ask them right away, I think, but if you're taking notes and your pencil's catching on fire, then be like, hey, can we slow down a little bit, that kind of thing. Just a tip. What you guys discuss? How was the buying experience with both of you?
Good. She had to get her phone screen replaced. and because she didn't want to deal with any Apple legislation, she decided to do it at the Genius Bar instead of through a second party.
Ah, okay.
He had to buy a printer, was sick of waiting in line, just like not knowing what the outcome was going to be from outside the plant office, I guess.
Gotcha. All right. How about you guys in the back row? You came up?
So I asked him, and he asked him what he purchased, and he basically sold me on buying an Apple Watch and an Apple
Really? Get up here, man. You're teaching. In front of the class, man.
So I'll tell you what I told him. I didn't plan on getting, I just needed to watch. So I just started running, and I put the ear things.
Yeah.
They actually had demos for you to try, which I was impressed with. Put them in, and you could go, "Hey Siri, let's go for a run." And it goes, "Okay," starts your music playlist and everything. And I was like, "Okay, these are so outrageously expensive, but that was the coolest thing." Done. Wrap them up. I'm out of here.
Steve, we're not stupid. It's just nice.
Sucker. I mean,
Yeah.
Apple.
I was trying to sell freaking peach-colored Christmas lights. How about you guys? Did you talk?
Yeah. My friend here already know the thing, yeah. We were so engrossed.
There you go. Yes. Yes.
So my friend here bought a iPhone and also a Mac.
Wow.
So he actually went into the store, asked all the intelligent questions.
At the same time?
At the same time.
Wow.
And when I asked him, why Apple? He goes, there's no competition. Like, there's Samsung. I'm like, yeah, of course, I'm an iPhone person too. But.
Right, but again, taking notes, writing that down. It's like there's a lot of brand loyalty to Apple. Like, how did this happen? Like, oh, it's good quality. You can learn from that when you're branding your product too. Like, if you're going to sell to a high-end customer, somebody that is interested in paying a little more for a breast pump or something, if that's your target demographic, don't be afraid to wrap it in a nice box that has different kind of hardware. Because you ever unwrap Apple boxes? They're like crazy space-age coating on the cardboard. Like, but those little touches, when you get it, you're like, damn, this is solid. So for your breast pump, if you're again selling to a high end or anybody, that's what you do. How about you? What do you learn?
So I really wanted to know what she thinks about going to retail stores.
Yep.
So I asked open-ended questions. She really wanted to ask about the Fitbit that she bought online.
Ah.
So I had to pretend I was interested in the Fitbit.
There you go.
Until I could bring it back around several times to, if you had to return it to a retail store. I brought it several times
Okay.
back to the retail
You were trying to really hone in on the whole retail store thing. It's good. Yeah. And you didn't take offense to that? Did you notice like he was trying to do that?
Yeah. I'm one of those shut down customers.
All right. So yeah, hopefully, this kind of exercise is good. You're talking to a friendly stranger here. When you talk to a strange stranger that's out on the streets, it's going to be a little different. Okay. And especially if it's somebody that's like, holy cow, these guys are the CEO of a company that I actually want to do business with. It's like frightening. So you got to cut your teeth with farmers markets and friends in class and things like that. And then get rejected a few times, get some skin, thick skin, and get out there and go talk to some people. Okay? So good job, good exercise. I'm glad you guys talk to some strangers. Okay, we just talked about this. Avoid the pitfalls, and we talked about this a little bit already. But if you're doing more of the talking, in fact, I couldn't tell. There was so much talking going on. I couldn't tell who was interviewing and who wasn't. But it was good. It looked like there was a nice, even exchange. Debrief after you guys have done this. Make sure you take notes. You're going to want to look back at that stuff later. Because I tell you, there's another invention that's going to come out of your notes that you take after talking to about 50 people. Getting an unexpected response, you should act on it too. Like, wow, that's weird. So you never buy anything, at a retail store. Wow, okay, that's odd. I didn't expect that. Why? Explain that to me. Try to drill down on it a little bit. Like, oh, I'm allergic to the mall. Who knows what the thing is? But again, you might uncover something cool. So we've already talked about this stuff. When do you know you're done talking to customers? You're never actually done talking to customers. You just sort of put a finer and finer point on your whole business plan, your business model. But in general, after you've spoken to 30 people in a very targeted customer segment, then you really start to see patterns emerge. Before you talk to 30 people, things could be all over the place. After you talk to 30, something magic happens, and there's sort of the fog clears a little bit. You start hearing similar themes, you get a real sense of their problems. My company, we're making a new type of display made out of these little tiny LEDs as pixels. We've spoken to 120 customers. I'm still doing active customer discovery. I still don't know exactly who values our product the most in the value chain. So we've talked to from LED suppliers to display manufacturers to people that are assemblers and manufacturers sell things downstream, upstream, all this kind of stuff. And I'm really still trying to hone in on that. We've spoken to 120 customers already. Still trying to figure it out. Maybe I'm just slow, but things take some time. Trying to figure out if it's nice to have or if it's got to have. Like I said before, you're going to talk to these target customers, throw a wide net at first, and then hopefully what happens is there's one customer segment that's like, man, I have this huge need, and it's the thing that you address. And then you hear it from that same type of customer before, or at the next conversation in that target market. That's great. Then you know that's a gotta have type of thing. Again, don't be selling your technology. The moment you start selling your stuff, people will just run away. How are you going to go talk to people? Your network. You could ask me, you could ask other people in this room, hey man, I've really got this target market. Do you know anybody that does this type of thing? Great, ask everybody in the whole room. Totally fine. We can talk about it before class tomorrow if you want to. Send me an email. I might know some people. Referral, word of mouth, LinkedIn, social media, websites. You'll be amazed at how many people you have indirect contacts with, and don't be afraid to go to the CEO of a company that you might want to do business with. I wouldn't do that for your first customer interview. Might not even do it as my 10th customer interview. Sort of get a feel of the lay of the land first. Then don't be afraid. Use the NSF hat. Hey, I'm doing an NSF funded program here at RPI in the Capital District. You're the expert. Can I just bug you for a couple minutes? Just get you on the phone, talk about the market. What are they going to do? Say no? Likely they'll say yes. So schedule that. Okay? And again, go find a conference. That is the one-stop shopping for all this stuff. Use your network. Explain that you're doing research. You're working on this NSF thing. Again, don't pitch your product. Blah blah blah. A lot of this stuff is redundant. What about IP? This is something that NSF stresses. Don't worry about IP. You shouldn't be talking about it. Okay. If you're really concerned about IP, we could have a private conversation about it. If you feel like you got to patent it before you go out there or something like that, but I'll try to talk you out of talking about your intellectual property to that extent when you're talking to customers. Again, these slides are available for you guys, so I would suggest looking at these reference materials. Talking to Humans, great, whimsical, easy to read book about talking to humans. How cool is that? About how do you get out there and talk to people. Tons of examples. It's really funny to go through bad interview questions. If you get some spare time, have a little bottle of wine next to you, look at the computer, do some YouTube, and check out some bad customer interviews and the questions they ask and stuff. It's hilarious. So you guys can curl up with that for a while. Good times, and you learn what not to do. There's also good customer interview questions and things like that. There's a ton of stuff that's out there. Anything from Steve Blank, a lot of people out there publishing these things. All right. So I've talked about you guys a lot. Let me talk about me. Can I just talk about me for a little bit? So I'm going to talk about my problems and my struggles and what I've done in my past. What's the biggest mistake I've done over and over again? Launching products that nobody cares about, like the peach-colored Christmas lights, ladies and gentlemen. How about that? Hey. I launched a whole line of quantum dot biomarkers, fluorescent biomarkers, without telling anybody how to use it. Just like, yeah, here we go. And people, when they buy fluorescent biomarkers, if everybody's bought them before, there's like a protocol that goes with them of, oh, you mix it with chemical X, and then you put it in this, this type of assay and use it this way. Well, we didn't do that. We just thought people would just know how to do it, and that's not how they usually sell it. So we didn't look at how do people usually buy it. So we were the ice cream man selling toilet paper. People were like, why are you approaching me this way? This makes no sense. Combat ID products sold during wartime when we weren't talking to the right people. I'll get into the details, sure. So let's talk about it in the context of the business model canvas, okay? So this is what we're going to use as our guide through this whole process. Value proposition, customer segments, the first two things you gotta get at, okay? And the reason is because that forms the basis of your business. So what happens is you have this thing. Look at that, it's a thing. This thing has value to my customers because of this, X, Y, Z. Man, I got this thing. This thing is so cool. My customers want to buy it because of X, Y, Z reasons. What you want to hear from customers is, wow, man, I love this thing. Please, have my money in exchange and give me that thing. That's what you love to hear. And you sell it to them in this way, and the customer relationship goes this way, a nice exchange of money. If you can validate this little circle here, then you can move on to the rest of the canvas. Man, that's great. They love my thing. Then you start costing the thing out and things like that. Things get fun. Before you even launch that thing, there's a whole process that you got to go through. There's the discovery of the thing. So when you discover the idea, hallelujah, light goes off. Wow, I got this great idea for this thing. Then what we're going to do in this series is sort of more of the scoping and the building of the business case. We're not going to get into the development, prototyping, testing, validation, how you're going to manufacture this thing. That's not what this is all about. We're about up here. We're going to hopefully get to the point where we're building a business case. But right now, we're in the early stage of scoping it out. Scoping means, who the hell wants this thing? What do they need this thing for? Okay? Then once you do that, okay, I've validated who they are and what they need it for. Great. Can I make this thing cheap enough? Can I produce enough of these things? What do I need to build a team? Do I need to raise $50 million to do this thing? Like that kind of thing, and then develop that stuff like that. So there's a whole process. It's called a stage gate process that's necessary when you launch any product. Any product or service, you're going to go through a process very similar to this. From discovery all the way down to product launch, where you're making money. Okay? Whole process. This is sort of classic. Rookie mistakes, what I don't want you to do, and this happens all the time. Man, I have this great idea for this thing. I know people want to buy it, so I just got to start making this thing. If I just started making these things, I already know people will buy it. You skip this whole process, you skip the customer discovery, and you're like, I got to get right to making it. I know people want this. Rookie mistake. Biggest reason why companies fail is because you just start making things without really testing it out to see. A little Brett Clint's classical comedy corner. This is where I need a laugh track. Hey, hey, you want to know the secret to quickly making $1 million from your startup? Start with $2 million and quickly start working on producing things without talking to customers. Hey. So you see you lose $1 million. I should have done more customer discovery, man. You guys are seeing this cold. I should have. Oh, damn it. Note to self. Take this slide out. All right, road to products. What are you going to do when you're in the scoping stage? Go talk to customers. Listen and talk to customers. Right when you come up with your invention. Not the most natural thing. I just invented this thing. This is great. Now I got to go talk to customers. No, usually you're like, oh man, I got to start making these things. Don't want you to do that. I want you to go out and start talking to customers early on. Don't need to tell them what your thing is. You need to start talking to them though. You need to start building your business case. What are you doing there? You're talking to customers. Even when you're in the development stage, when you're in the product validation, you got to talk to them about what specs and tolerances and things like that these customers need. Even at the end, once you launch products, you're like, God, thank God I don't have to talk to any customers anymore. Yeah, you do. You got a freaking customer service line. How many companies don't have a customer service line? You sort of have to. People want to return that thing. People want to find out, how to use that thing. Because you're always going to be talking to customers, so just get used to it. Might as well get used to it right after the invention. All right, so I'm actually a scientist and a PhD in nuclear engineering. So I am able to analyze scientifically when things are fun and when things are not fun. So using science, it is great fun to invent something. You guys invent something? You get a rush. You're like, damn, that's a good idea. I invented something. That's awesome, isn't it? And then when you sell something, When somebody gives you money for your thing, starts cranking in the cash register's ringing, whole office starts smelling like cash. Man, that's fun. I think it's fun. I've been told it's fun. That's a lot of fun. Everything else, it's what we call the valley of suck, ladies and gentlemen. You're walking through the valley of suck. It's not fun. It's not a lot of fun to start a company and walk through all this testing and validation and talking to all these whiny customers and listening to them whine on and making new friends and all this kind of stuff. It's actually work. It becomes work after your invention. You know where you guys are? Sliding down right now. By the end of tonight, you're going to be right here. You've already come up with your invention. Now you're getting into the scoping, the building the business case. It's work. This course is about work. And work sometimes sucks. Fun is better than work. So, yeah.
How many years were you in that case?
I'm still in it, man. I'll show you some examples. You know what's worse, though, and I've done this before, too. Ready for this one? There's probably not going to be a dry eye in the house after this next slide. Imagine you're walking through the valley of suck. You're eating ramen noodles every night. Your wife leaves you because you're a deadbeat dad. You got all these problems, health problems, all these things. But you finally get to the point where you launch a product and you're like, oh, thank God, we're going to hear the cash registers ring and things are going to be fun again. Only to find you launch products and nobody wants them. I made peach-colored Christmas lights in China, off-seas manufacturing. Can make 100 million of them per year. Specs, details, all these things, shipments, shipping, receiving, everything set up, 1-800 numbers to call, customer service lines ready to go. Nobody wanted it. At the end of the valley of suck, if you climb to what you think is the mountain of prosperity and you see more valley of suck, that's the suckiest valley of suck. That sucks. That really sucks. My job is to not let you get to that after the valley of suck. I want you to go to the mountains of prosperity. Those aren't leaves. It's green money. Those aren't pebbles. It's gold. A mountain of prosperity. Bob Ross lives in the mountain of prosperity, man. He's painting happy little trees. Who wouldn't want to be here? Is that a happy place or what, man? Who wants to be in the mountain of prosperity? Oh, I mean, come on. Now that's customer discovery there, man. That's not a closed-ended question. All right. It happens, man. It happens a lot. That's the biggest reason why companies fail, because they launch a product nobody freaking cares about. Can you imagine going through all that pain of getting to product launch? It's just painful. Then you get there, nobody wants your product. Damn, those are hard lessons. You waste a lot of time and a lot of money. You can avoid that by talking and listening to customers. It seems so simple, but it's not. It's not intuitive. It wasn't for me. It wasn't for lots of people. So in this class, we're hoping that you guys don't make those mistakes. We're going to force you not to make those mistakes. Shall we talk about some real life examples? Oh, I think we shall. So, I had a company that I started in 2000 called Evident Technologies. We actually started as an optical telecom company. So telecom was huge. 2000, we made a femtosecond all optical transistor. We could switch light with light because the internet boom was happening and we needed more speed, more bandwidth on the internet to satisfy pets.com orders and things like that. But then the .com market died and then the telecom market died even harder. So we were left after year one with a business plan that made 0 sense. There were no customers for our product. We're like, okay, wow, our target customers were these high-end telecom companies, and they all freaking went out of business. Ooh, I think it's time for a pivot, right? So you got to do something different. So we totally changed what we did. But luckily for us, we were making this material called a quantum dot. It's a semiconductor nanocrystal, nano-sized crystal of a semiconductor material. It's called a quantum dot. Lo and behold, it glows different colors. You can make it glow different colors. You can make it do optical telecom switching. You can make it glow different colors. You can make it for infrared applications, all kinds of crazy stuff. But one thing you can do is you can make lots of different colors. You can put it on top of a blue LED and make any color you want. Used to be a joke back in the 2000s, actually, that was like, LEDs come in any color you want, as long as they're red, like a sort of yellow amber looking, green, and blue. 4 colors. That was it. Can't get any other color. You get a shitty looking white if you scrape off some like fluorescent light stuff and put it on top of a blue LED, make a fluorescent white looking white. But other than that, very limited colors. You're like, damn, we got quantum dots. We can make peach if we want to. Wasn't our initial idea, but we can make any color we want to, right? Color tunability, ladies and gentlemen. Any color you want, quantum dots, you can do anything with these things. We're in the scoping stage right now. Made many hands-on prototypes of pink and peach and purple and persimmon colored LEDs, any color you want, man, you name it. British Petroleum green, Coca-Cola red, we can make all those colors. We can make candlelight white. White was the biggest seller. We can make Schenectady sunrise white. I was not in marketing, okay? We can make any color white you wanted. White LEDs at the time were shitty looking white LEDs, man. They're real blue looking. You ever see those in people's front yards and stuff? They're supposed to be white, but they're all blue looking. What happened was, you're in the valley of suck when you're going through and looking at the patent landscape. This is one of the things you guys will have to do if there's something heavily patented. The LED industry is a heavily patented industry. We had to understand what was out there, who patented what are they doing it for, who's suing whom, etc. Draw out this big old thing. I spent months on this, and I found out there's a company named Nichia right here. It's a Japanese company, and they were fierce. They sued everybody out of existence that was making a white LED. We could make any color white we wanted. And we didn't infringe Nichia. And white LEDs were by far the biggest seller. Everybody wanted white, and everybody had to pay Nichia a royalty. We found out we didn't have to. Woo, baby. Scoping, talking to customers, building the business case. We offer white LEDs that do not infringe Nichia, plus we have brand colors, backlight manufacturers for LCD handsets, talking to people like Coke, British Petroleum, etc. Target markets, huge billion-dollar markets for all these kind of things. Where are you going to use them for? High bright, ultra high bright. You're going to use them for interior lights, car lights. Do they have to survive weather, temperatures, things like this? All these things you have to study while you're going through this, walking through the valley of suck, right? So we're still building the business case, talking about all these things. Here's all the different market segments. There's a ton of different market segments. We're selling a white LED. All these different things. So which one of those is going to be our real target market when we first go to market? Talking, building the case, doing the development, getting down and dirty. We really honed in on this white, man. British Petroleum green, Coca-Cola red, pale in comparison to launching a white that doesn't infringe Nichia's patents. That's what we got to focus on. Really get in, tuning these colors. Again, walking through the valley of suck, doing a lot of tests in the lab, all these kind of things, coming up with geometries. And I want you guys to say, ooh, after all these, ooh, ooh, oh, whoa. That's a whole color spectrum there. My God, can you do that with LEDs? Because I thought LEDs were this color, this one, and this one. Not until you get quantum dots, baby. You get any color you want. Especially in here in this white zone. This is the most expensive LEDs. Those are the ones everybody wanted. And we can do it and not infringe. So, wider range of whites going through the development, efficiencies are comparable. We can control the viscosities of this material. We shipped it to China and it didn't settle out. We had to buy them an ultrasound over there so that they could sonicate the stuff when they got it. Again, doing the development of this stuff, got to make sure it survives in shipping. There was not a single LED packager in the United States. They don't exist. We got to go to China. So we had to have relationships with Chinese manufacturers. We had 2 of them, started the contracts with them, etc. Getting to this point, doing the testing and validation. Customers actually wanted LEDs that lasted more than 10,000 hours. Ours lasted about 7. So, how long do you think it takes to test something for 7,000 hours after you've really honed in on the actual formulation and all that? It's a long time. It takes about approximately 7,000 hours. 7,001 because you got to analyze. It's a long time. You gotta.
You cannot compress that?
Well, we had ways to do that. Yeah, we heated it up and stuff like that. So it didn't actually take 7, but it took a long time because we didn't believe it. Then we tested it again, then we tweaked it, then we tweaked it, then we tweaked it, and we tweaked it. And we couldn't get the lifetime. So by this time, we spent a long time developing this stuff. We thought we were going to be able to displace everybody doing white LEDs. What do you do as an entrepreneur? Well, shit, that didn't work. Christmas lights. They don't need to last 10,000 hours. They need to last 2 months, 3 months maybe, for 3 years, right? You're gonna plug them in. If after the 3rd year of buying them, they still work, people are like, damn, that's a pretty good Christmas light. Like, wow, that thing really lasted. They're never gonna say, I thought there was more peach when I first bought it. They're not going to look at color shift. If you're watching the Super Bowl with a quantum dot backlit display and it drifts because of temperature or because of time, you're like, that's not the New York Giants blue. That's something else. What the hell happened to my TV? And you're going to get pissed because you spent a ton of money, right? So we pivoted. This is how we got to this world's most expensive Christmas light, the most high-tech Christmas lights. Why the hell would anybody put quantum dots, which is really hard to make, in Christmas lights? Because they would sell, and because they fit from an engineering standpoint. A lot less lift here, a lot fewer engineering details with this. All right. So we got to the product development stage. What we did was we decided on our own. We needed to package these because we're going to target these to the world's most expensive Christmas light market. We need to go really high end. We need high end colors, so we hired color designers to tell us what colors were the hottest colors. And we're going to package this in the nicest box possible, more like the Apple model. We wanted this box to look nice, like on the shelves of Target, for example. So super nice box, super cool colors like lime, plum, peach, pearl, all these different colors. We were working on a persimmon, which we never launched, but I think a persimmon color Christmas light, that would have been the key. All these crazy ass colors, right? Did we talk to customers? We talked to focus groups. Did we talk to Target to see if they wanted this Target-esque looking box? No, in our mind, we thought this looked like some box you'd see at Target. They took a look at that and said, my God, that's a huge box. For our Christmas lights, we like to pack them deep, you know, and they're seasonal, man. Like, you can't, that box is this by this. Like, you can't put it in a box like that. Like, oh, shit. Damn. Sure wish we would have talked to Target before we made that goddamn box. Right? All these mistakes, and you think that, you know, oh, hell yeah, man, the box is so cool. Everybody think the box is cool? Yeah, man, it's cool. Come up with spec sheets, cut sheets, talking points, things like that. Go around, try to sell this to people, conduct focus groups, figure out what color, finally get the product launch. Look at those beautiful Christmas lights. Oops, and that's the end of the story because it's so harsh. But got a product launch. Not too many people bought, you know? Wrong colors, wrong season, things like that. Could we target different customers? Yeah, we could have gone out to different people. Could have recast them as not Christmas lights, but as something else, decorative lights. They actually would have sold better as an Easter light, but not too many people buy Easter lights. The cool thing that happened though, I was trying to talk to Samsung for years and years and years, and LG before this, because this is perfect for backlights on TVs if you can fix it and make it so that they last. Once we launched these products, Samsung actually came aggressively knocking, and they were like, I want this technology for my TVs. So now you see this technology in quantum dot TVs that Samsung has. So you go to Best Buy, you can see technology that was developed right here in Troy. How cool is that? Now, we didn't make too much money off that, but made a little bit. But it's pretty cool to actually see a product out there that's got your technology in it. But you pivot. The key is, man, if we had talked to customers along the way, we would have done things a lot differently, you know? So don't be afraid to talk to customers. Be afraid not talking to customers, okay? Because you're going to make mistakes if you don't talk to customers. Paying customers. Let's do another example, shall we? Customer discovery in wartime. So we were making this quantum dot material, and we could use it in a paint. We made a paint that was infrared. You could see it at night. You could use night vision goggles and see our paint. How cool is that? We were asked to come out to Fort Irwin, California. All they said was bring 2 gallons of paint and some paintbrushes. Great, okay, we did, we got it. and we started painting Humvees. We didn't know what we were doing it for. They said, yeah, we're gonna paint these, we're gonna do some night exercise. So painted a couple of Humvees, had them out in the desert. We were all out there like, what the hell's going on? Helicopters flying overhead, all this kind of stuff. And they had their lights on the Humvees, and they were trying to see our paint. Well, with headlights glowing so bright, you're not gonna see the little glow of our infrared paint. Failed miserably. It didn't work. You couldn't see it. It was just too overwhelmed looking at night vision goggles to the actual Humvee itself. Luckily, we had in our bag a lot of filters and things that we'd been playing with. So we put the filters on the headlights of the car, of the Humvee, and we heard cheers from like on the hillsides around us. Hey, it looks great. I can identify it. They were trying to identify friend from foe. So this is one with our headlight treatment. This is one that doesn't have the headlight treatment. And you can readily tell with standard night vision goggles, that's a US vehicle and that's not. So don't shoot that one and maybe shoot that one. Okay, so anti-fratricide, blah, blah, blah. Again, product development, worked with all these people, advisors from Fort Irwin, ex-generals, retired generals, people like that, all this kind of stuff. Went through the whole process. We were gonna sell it to the US military. Now, what do you see that's wrong with this customer segment?
It's not specific at all.
Not specific at all. We're gonna sell to the US military. Sounds great. That's like, I'm gonna sell to the world. That's not gonna work, guys. Who is that person? We were developing this with Joint Forces Command, a branch of the military. They didn't have check writing authority at all. They couldn't write us a check. We needed to talk to a commanding officer that was in Afghanistan. Those are the ones that had the immediate check writing authority. We didn't talk to them. We didn't even know that. This product died completely because we weren't talking to the right people. We tried to get it out to the right people. Nobody bought it. But it's got to be way more specific. This, in our case, it was literally a combat commander in theater. So somebody that was actually in Afghanistan. That had budget. So the ones at the time, were getting their budgets redirected towards pulling out. And we were like, hey man, we got this swell technology. And they were like, I don't care. I got to pay for gas to get my troops back home. Bad timing, we weren't talking to the right people. Customer discovery is all about finding the person that's going to pay you the money. Otherwise, you're wasting your time. Okay? Yeah.
You know, sometimes in a situation like this, there's a split in that you might want to find the person that's paying you the money or the person that's going to use the product.
Totally.
Yeah.
But you got to make sure you're talking to that one that's paying too. Because you guys have that case. This is a classic case of an app. You're going to have the users, and then you're going to have somebody that's going to pay. And you need both, you know? In this case, we still needed an end user to say, I would like to have this, but the most important one is the payer.
The one paying for it will consult with the one that's using it.
Sometimes.
Say, should I?
Sometimes, yeah.
Just as the better terminology. User is using, customers paying your way.
Correct, yep. So don't get those confused. So I wanted to go through this, but basically I learned from my mistakes going through and talking to customers. It's taken me years and years and years, but don't go when you're giving a presentation to some high-level people, don't go and tell them what their problems are. Because I've done that 100 times with PowerPoint. You're sort of forced to do that. You know, you're ready to pitch to Sony, and you want to tell them, hey man, here's what I fix. Here's the problems that you have, and here's what I fix. Here's how I address your problems. That's just a constraint that PowerPoint puts you in. You'd be much better off stepping back and having two slides, saying, I'm here to learn from you. I want to learn what your problems are. I have some ideas. We can talk about it, but on your initial pitch, I would encourage you to sort of step back and just have an open-ended conversation with them. Okay. Kelly, we have time to talk about reimbursements? All right. Sorry I was long-winded, folks, but Kelly's going to talk about the important stuff, reimbursement.
No, we leave the most important part for last. All right, everybody, wake up. Okay. So we have funds coming from the NSF for you. As you know, what are these things? It's not a scholarship. It's not a prize. It's not going to affect your financial aid if you're a current student, so don't worry about that. It's a reimbursable mini grant stipend. All right, so how do you get started? There is a reimbursement authorization form on the Google Drive that everyone has access to. What's the subfolder called, Richard? Resources?
Resources, yep.
Resources subfolder. Go in there. If you have used or been reimbursed through RPI before, you're already in the system, you should be good. likely faculty. If you have not, fill one out. There's 2 different ones, one for RPI-based individuals and one for RPI guests. So fill out the appropriate one and then send it to me. Do this ASAP. Even if you don't know what conference you're going to, even if you don't know what customer you're going to talk to, do this right away. It takes a little bit of time for me to get you in the system. This is what it looks like. Okay, next up, complete and submit your draft budget. There's a template document in the Google Drive as well, in the same subfolder, resources folder. Take a look at that. There's some instructions on it, really simple. This does not have to be an end-all budget. It's a living document. We can work with it, okay? So put your first draft out there. If you don't know what conference you're going to yet, just start drafting it out. I think I want to go to a conference in this area. I'm going to need to have airfare tickets. I'm going to need to have some ground transportation and maybe an honorarium of 25 bucks a day to get me some coffee and bagels. Put that down. Let's start looking at it. When you get to a point where you're ready to submit it, you actually have some solid info on it. Put the link of the conference you want to go to. That helps so that we can look at it. And then you're going to put that up to your folder, and Clint and I are going to review it.
Do those conferences need to take place during the time frame of the 5 weeks of this period?
Albany Med, right?
Sorry?
Are you Albany Med? You're Albany Med.
Those are fighting words.
A couple of the Albany Med teams have already talked to me about a specific conference that happens outside. That's why I asked. We can talk about it. I would like your all of your travel to occur within the time frame of this program. That is the 5 weeks and then 1 week after, or 1 month after. So you have 2 weeks or 2 months or so to do this travel. If there's a specific one that you're going to find the most customer discovery and complete it there, we can talk about it. But you still need to be able to meet the goals of the program all along the way. Even if you think you're going to get 200 interviews at the end, 2 months later, and we've agreed to it, you still need to get the 30 during this program. This is what the budget looks like. Really simple Excel spreadsheet. So how do you get the money? What's going to happen? So teams are going to be reimbursed on the actual expense you incur. If you're a student and you're panicking right now thinking, I don't have the budget to do this, don't worry, we can work together, okay? There's ways that I can purchase travel for you. I can purchase products for you. We'll work on it. Reimbursements that incur prior to week 3 are rare, so see me. Again, your budget needs to be approved before you actually start spending this money. Keep all of your detailed receipts. This is a grant that we have here. It's been given to us, and we're giving you part of this grant, so we're likely going to be audited in the future. So in order to be reimbursed, you need to have receipts, detailed receipts. So when you do submit that, here I say to give them to me, I'm going to want you to upload to your Google folder. So what can you spend the money on? NSF, again, these are NSF guidelines and RPI guidelines. Conferences, there is a modest amount of money that you can use if you are trying to create an MVP. Not a lot of money. The majority of the money in your budget should be going towards doing customer discovery. If you find some opportunity to do additional training in entrepreneurship, we can talk about that. That's an option to spend this money on, and other resources that are going to be able to advance your team towards taking the next step and making a go or no-go decision with this venture that you're working on. What can't you spend the money on? NSF says no alcohol, no legal or administrative costs. We're not paying lawyers with this money. You can't pay an advisor. Your mentors are not being paid. And then,
what?
Money for Clint to drink, yeah.
What happened?
This is what your budget's going to look like, hopefully, when we finish out. Again, all reimbursement requests, submit them up to your drive. Is that?
In a day, April 15th?
So, reimbursement request. So, after your budget's been approved and you've already spent your money, all the receipts are going to have to be up and in your Google document by April 13th. That's the final day. That's the last phone call that we have to close out everything. Any questions on reimbursements?
It's a total of $3,000.
A max of 3,000 per team.
For the MVP development, if you need something like data storage or to build a website, you prepay for like a 1-year Squarespace contract, or do you want to pay for the time period of the program?
Depends how the vendor works. If the vendor allows for the full year, you can put that in here. We'll talk about it. But if they allow for the month by month, that's the option.
And also, would you consider some training events similar to conferences in terms of it's a place for a large population of possible customers? So you kind of move it toward the conference reimbursement as opposed to the training customer reimbursement?
I'm not sure.
Because it depends. Yeah, it would depend on the team.
So like a small percentage would be used for things like training.
Right. 2 and 1, you're saying? You can get both?
Yeah, I'm saying, but I found events that are technically training events that target the same customer segments that we're going after. So would that be more considered a conference, even though it's more expensive?
If the question is a matter of putting a title on it, don't worry about it. If whether or not you can go to it, put it on there and we'll review the link that you submit to us. Just think of when you do find these conferences, and trade shows are great because there's lots of time to talk to people. Conferences are not always allowing you time to speak to people. It's, lecture, 15-minute coffee break, lecture, lunch break, and nobody wants to talk, they just want to eat.
Right.
So keep that in mind too. We want you to be educated at these things that you're going to, but we also want you to be able to hear what these people are going to have to say to you as a customer.
And his training for like only 100 people, 100 attendees, and that's going to be a little tough. If there's thousands of people, yeah, good.
Any other reimbursement questions? Okay.
All right. Thank you, Kelly. Yeah. Just kidding about that alcohol thing.
Is this slide on resources?
Okay, so this is homework, guys. I know it's 8 o'clock at night, but you have homework before 8 o'clock tomorrow morning. How about that? Suckers, NSF is on our side. Create a 5-minute talk to answer these questions. So what problem are you solving? Who are your customers? How large is your market opportunity, generally? What are the top 3 to 5 assumptions you're going to get to a true, not true sort of answer with these, and they're going to be really key for you to get at. What questions will you ask to find out? Who are you going to ask? Just a few slides, 5-minute presentation. We have some bagels. Again, we're going to give you $3,000. After tomorrow, we're going to go do a little field trip down to the farmer's market. I might buy you guys a tomato or something. Cucumber. Buy you a cucumber. So that's the homework for tomorrow morning, okay? These slides are posted. Just have a little 5-minute presentation ready to roll. Got it?
Should we throw it on the Google Docs?
Yeah, throw it on the Google Docs, and I'll make sure that I upload it before you guys actually get it. How about that? So,
Is parking there anything special?
parking on the street on Saturday is all open.
But is that by that one parking garage on the street too? Is that close to where that?
We're above the center of gravity.
Yes, you're right in the center. I think there's a parking garage right there.
There might.
Just down the street.
Just down the street, yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
Yep. But does everybody know where this is, Ignite U?
On Broadway.
Right on Broadway, 333 Broadway. Don't go in the center of gravity entrance. Don't go in 2nd Street, okay? First Street.
The entrance is where?
The entrance is on Broadway.
Is that still in the beans right across the street?
It's down the street from Spillin' the Beans. Walk as the river flows past Spillin' the Beans, and then you'll see it. So the center of gravity.
And it's upstairs?
Upstairs. Look for a place called B-Rads. So there's B-Rads to go, which has got it's a little bistro place. It's right on the first floor, the ground floor.
You're not going to have your great signs like you did this time for this?
We'll have some signs.
Those for idiot.
Just flash. Yeah. Actually, I'll give you. If you guys want my mobile number, just in case the doors are locked or something like that, which could happen. You ready? I'm going to throw it out. 518. Wish I had an app that could do this. 518-928. 7958. 518-928-7958. There's your homework. Real quick, look for a trade show to attend, and that's it.